at some point, if they get what they want, there's going to be the 1% left. The rest of us is no longer there or relevant. So who will they have power over? Who will they be richer than? If you eliminate all of us.
But technocracy doesn't eliminate us, nor transhumanism. It makes, because it's still another form of capitalism. It is closer to the 1700s in terms of the slave class and techno-feudalism and that kind of thing.
Right.
So, because if the algorithms are going to determine how you behave, how you're governed, and it's already started. Look what's happening at the airports, for example. Look what's happening with the digital currency.
Right.
And we see where it's going. So it is a centralization of power even more than before. It is capitalism 2.0. It's just a different name because it is now being driven by the technology. And the technology is at a place where the man and the woman are now being connected to the machine. And that's transhumanism. But that has already happened.
It has.
Right?
Right.
So
what's the objective? What's at the end of this for them, according to you?
But that's a very good question. But I am more concerned in what's the end of it for us, if there's an end.
Yeah.
And I don't. And this is why I'm saying we don't have to be part of that. We don't. This is why when we say don't take the vaccine, we didn't mean don't take the vaccine. We don't have to buy into everything that they put at the table. People are going to be clamoring for technocracy in the very same way that they clamored for the vaccine. Remember, that was a test.
Yeah.
And the world failed. I think a lot of us in Jamaica passed with flying colors, and a lot of us on the continent of Africa passed with flying colors. But many failed. And remember, I keep saying in this space that academia in Jamaica was the first to crumble. So if we were looking to academia for guidance,
It wasn't there.
it wasn't there because they were the first
Yeah.
to buy into the idea of how terrible this disease was and we're all going to die and you have to take the vaccine. And they were fronting the lines. They were pushing people out of the lines, not physically, but because they had contacts. And they were the ones who took to the television station and the radio stations and social media. Literally, and I know I'm speaking generally, but it is more than less, right? Literally calling for something to be done to prevent the pandemic of the unvaccinated. Remember that,
Yes, I do. Yeah.
The people we believed in,
Were not
who
there.
were the experts,
Yeah.
they were telling us.
Yes. But they didn't
That-
know themselves, did they?
But they
Or
should have known.
They should. They should, but they didn't.
The question is, why didn't they?
That's a good question. Was it deliberate not knowing? Did they know? And
Because a lot of them were being paid by the pharmaceutical companies.
That's right.
To front this message. It's basically what it was.
And then what's the role of politics? Were they following, or were they actually pushing?
Well, politics had no choice, and this is why. For us, I think it was a test, right? In that you've signed on to so much already, that whatever you sign on with PAHO or WHO or the United States government, however all these trade deals, all these fine prints, the IMF, the World Bank, all of these institutions, all of these agencies, the United Nations, all of these deals and treaties and whatever it is that you signed on to, it meant that you already had to do what you were told. Because if a WHO said, this is it, who are you as a politician to question it?
Exactly.
So they were already, and we remember, we always had a mistrust of politicians, generally as people, not just
journalists.
I have to take a break, you go and talk. Please stay with that. We're going to a break because you see what it is.
Yes,
I'm going to have to move from here to go. I should give you the computer.
No, you do the computer.
Okay, all right. So let me walk away from
High time. high time for a break.
So we don't even know what's happening.
No, we don't. But
And
Andrew is commenting on the fact that he says we look all right. Thank you, Andrew.
okay. Hi, Andrew. Good morning. Thank you so much. Which Andrew?
Andrew Lumsden.
Okay,
Yes.
Andy. Okay, Andy. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much. All right. So I know you've got a lot on your mind, and we're going to be talking about that. And as we said earlier, a lot happening across the globe.
It's hard to keep up.
Geopolitics is a word that everybody's using now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You use it first.
Yeah, I did.
I
Didn't I,
guess.
though?
Yes,
Didn't
yes,
I? Yeah. All right. But you have been watching the
I
news
have.
and kind of, even though you're on vacation.
I know, and I'm saying it's hard to keep up.
Yes.
It's totally hard to keep up. Every time you think you're there, you know what's happening, it's all changed again. How do you do that?
Sometimes I literally just turn it all off for a week or two
A week or two.
and then go back in.
Right.
Yeah. And, so I live in St. Mary, right? So I hear the river, I see the sea, I can walk barefooted in the grass, I can feel the dew and stuff like that in the early morning dew and the sun just barely peeping up over the horizon.
Lovely.
So I mean that, Esther Figueroa, who's going to be on the program today, we were texting yesterday, and I told her I had no electricity, and a phone was like on 19%, and so I just wanted to check if she was in.
Right.
And so we were having this conversation. I said, and she wrote back to say, no, long after I charged a phone in the car, and I wrote her back to say, still no electricity. And she said, well, enjoy the darkness, and I hope that you have Peony Wally and you're hearing the sounds.
There you go.
And I told her it's a musical orchestra.
Yes.
I was hearing every single one of them night things, right? The insects. It was beautiful, and I spent some time just listening, like that was something.
It's funny that you say that, because when I got here this time, end of November, in Montego Bay, it took weeks for electricity to come back.
Right.
So what I did, I studied nature, just like you're saying. I was noticing all the different lizards. I'm not a fan of lizards.
There you go.
But to sit in your chair and watch them do their thing.
Yeah, watch them do their thing.
Well, they did a lot of things. That's why there's so many of them right now.
I can imagine.
But
I'm seeing you now. There you go.
Okay. Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
So it's we should do that more. So the fact that you
Yeah.
live in St. Mary, stay there.
So I can
push
when
it
I
off.
plug out, I can plug out.
Right.
Which is what I do. But sometimes it really seeps into your bloodstream.
It does.
So if you allow it. So how do you manage?
Well, I find it overwhelming, especially now, because I think the pace has been
picked
moved up.
Yeah.
Usually I say I leave Europe to come here to get that rest you're talking about. But it's following me here. So I'm not sure if it's by design that we are also overwhelmed. I think it is.
Yeah. Chaos.
And the fact that, we have headlines today and tomorrow they're the complete opposite. How are we supposed to keep track?
It's deliberate. I agree with you. That is deliberate. That this chaos, because the thing is order out of chaos.
Right.
And that is why when they talk about the global reset, it's the very same thing, is that they create the chaos, and then we are going to clamor for the order, because they already have a solution. They just create the problem to fit it.
To fit it, that's right.
And so here we are. So what are you most overwhelmed by, or not overwhelmed? What are you noticing?
I'm overwhelmed by the idea. I know I was never in control, but now I really feel like, I'm one of the pinball balls being played, and so are all of we. And like you say, they create the solution for the problem. No, the other way around. They
get a solution. They have the solution,
and then they
find a problem to fit it. Like this peace thing that they say they're having in Pakistan now.
Whatever.
That's all a joke, really.
It is.
It's part of the bigger plan.
Yeah.
So here we are. But I know you've been looking at, and I think this is connected. The First Lady of the United States.
Well, that's another thing.
Yeah.
You see, Melania Trump, out of the blue, has this statement to make.
We have that statement.
We
I don't
do?
know if Peter, do you have that statement? Can we watch that, hear that? But in the meantime, yes.
So a million questions. Why? Why now? He didn't know. What did she want with it? All
And
of
the
this.
statement she made
It
yeah.
was about the Epstein files. So she put the Epstein files right back in the middle of the headlines. You know, the war in Iran was supposed to make us forget about the Epstein files, and here comes the wife of, out of the blue, denying any stories
Any
that
knowledge
were
of-
any knowledge of his character,
Yeah.
of Epstein's character, and his
And,
island and his whatever.
I know. Where do you think she did that?
Oh, you want me to go full blown conspiracy theory now?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, because conspiracy theories are what they are,
And they are there
You
for
know?
a reason.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just dabble in some conspiracy here. Because you always say everything is everything and everything is connected,
everything
right?
is connected. Yeah.
So, people, do not hang me over this. What if Epstein was an agent? What if Melania was an agent or is an agent? You see, we know that Trump is fighting Netanyahu's war. We know that. We don't even have to
Ask.
ask. So, who knows? Somebody said to Trump, fight the war so we won't talk about Epstein again. And then from the other side, they put Melania in there, go talk about Epstein. I don't know what to think.
So
I
you
thought
think
it
this
was
is directly
hilarious.
connected to the bigger picture
I
of
do.
what is unfolding?
I do.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I mean, as journalists, we know this. She is getting out ahead of a story.
Yeah.
And she has injected herself in the story. So there are quite a few things happening.
And he wasn't amused because he didn't
Yeah.
know.
Well, also he says.
Or so he said. No, I think he didn't know.
No. You are the president of the United States. The first lady is about to hold a press conference, which she did.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody told you, even if it was 2 minutes before. Somebody told you.
He was
Yeah.
he was in some kind of meeting. At
You
the
know,
moment.
he's lying.
Well, everybody's. That's the problem, Cap.
I think you know.
Everybody's lying.
Yeah, I think you knew about it. She's obviously getting out ahead of a story.
She's getting out of hand.
And she's also putting herself. She's also putting herself in the middle of a story.
Right.
So the question is, we can only speculate, right? Because with all the facts that we have, and also this conspiracy theories that are out there, and the facts that we can discern, which is to say, so there is a disaster of a war for Trump that's ongoing now, and yes, you needed to deflect, but is she deflecting?
She's deflecting back.
Well, that's the thing. So it's a kind of a loop. And is she also getting out ahead of a story or stories that are about to come out? I'm just saying that it might be that, and this is our PR work, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You get out ahead of a story.
Right.
So let's watch and see if there is a story coming out.
Right.
If it comes out, then we come back here and have a conversation about it.
We shall.
Then that would say to us, well, she was getting out ahead of that story.
Right. But why her? Why?
Because the story is about her.
But it wasn't. Nobody was talking about her.
But we don't know what the story is.
But that's the thing, You
see, the point I'm making is that we don't know what the story is that
Right.
she's getting out. Do we have her statement?
Yeah.
All right. So,
Oh, Peter, can we
Peter,
get
could
this down a little? Just a notch.
Peter, you see that with both of us, I don't know how you're going to
Hold on.
manage because we're doing the very same thing to you.
I think you have my button.
Right. I have your button. Do you want me to turn your microphone up or down?
I want the headphones down.
Down. But it can't be because my button is controlling your headphone.
Okay, I'll work with
So
yours.
you want me to turn it down?
No, don't.
I could turn your microphone down. Tell me what's happening now.
No, I'm good. I'm good now.
Right, because
Yeah.
because I'm Jamaican,
Yes. You need the.
right? African Jamaican. So you know how we roll.
Yes, I do.
You've talked to us about that many times in this space.
And I love you all for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're serious people,
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the thing that really surprises me when I travel Please tell me that I have a time signal, and I'll walk and do that.
Uh-huh. You have a time signal?
Yeah, so say we're going to a break.
We're going to a break now.
Thank you.
Yes, and the time...
So, what were we saying again? Oh, I know, go back to Jamaica. I was telling you about Jamaicans.
The serious people.
Very serious people. And, the thing that surprised me when I started to travel as a young student, right, studying abroad, one of the first things I noticed is that wherever Jamaicans are, there is a sense of pride, a sense of confidence, a sense of we own Yasa.
Yeah.
And we're not taking anything from nobody. Your racism, your classism, your colorism, no matter what you call it. That's overseas, right?
Right.
And there's another thing is that we're really, really confident. And then I began to notice that it wasn't so for all of our brothers and sisters, whether of continental Africa or Caribbean, and they kept pointing it out to us. For example, I'm in a class in university, right, and I'm told, we don't want any Jamaican heading this organization, because you have groups, organizations in university. We don't want any Jamaican heading this organization. The question is, why? Because Jamaicans take over everything.
And they're outspoken.
The minute Jamaicans get involved, then it is no longer ours. We take it over and we own it.
Maybe that's the problem I had in the Netherlands, because I took on this Jamaican style and I took it to my work.
So that's why you had to come home.
I did.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
It is a Jamaican thing.
It is.
We do not take no talk from nobody.
Well, that's why I love it here.
Yeah.
It is.
It is very Jamaican.
Yeah.
African Jamaican. We don't know about, African Jamaican. We know Sassowitan. Yeah. Anyway, so back to Melania. Yeah.
Melania.
Melania.
Yeah. So the question is, why now? Why she? I guess that's the question.
Yeah. And I hear the point, and I see the point you're making, because, all right, for me, because I've looked at it and, we've talked about it a little. And so the two things stand for me. The point you made, which is to say, was this a deflection from a war going so terribly bad on the ratings for the president to take us back to Epstein, which, so many people are saying that this was an Epstein-class war anyway.
Right.
And so you deflect from Epstein with a war, and you deflect from the
back.
war, right, with Epstein. So there is that. And then there is the other one, which is what I think, which is she's getting out ahead of a story. And that story is about her. That's what I think.
Okay.
That story that is about to come out is about her and her relationship or alleged relationship with Epstein, because there's a lot out there. Michael Wolff is doing a book tour.
Right.
I mean, he said a lot. Then there's her former friend, I think her surname is Unaro. She tweeted something that was very threatening. And I think there's another Marina girl or somebody. So there are a few stories lined up.
Right.
An interview was done already, I think, in Spain that is to come out today.
Okay, you know more than me on that count. I hadn't.
I'm going to double check on that.
Right.
Let us take the clip. Peter, go to the clip, Peter. Let's hear what she had to say. All right, so we're beginning shortly. That's a White House website. There you go. I just like the way Peter did this. Who are we getting this from, folks? Right, do I need to put this up?
Good afternoon. The lies linking me with the disgraceful Jeffrey Epstein need to end today. The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards, humility, and respect. I do not object to their ignorance, but rather I reject their mean-spirited attempts to defame my reputation. I never been friends with Epstein. Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach. To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell. My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence. My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more than a trivial note. I am not Epstein's victim. Epstein did not introduce me to Donald Trump. I met my husband by chance at a New York City party in 1998. This initial encounter with my husband is documented in detail in my book, Melania. The first time I crossed paths with Epstein was in the year 2000 at an event Donald and I attended together. At the time, I had never met Epstein and had no knowledge of his criminal undertakings. Numerous fake images and statements about Epstein and me have been circulating on social media for years now. Be cautious about what you believe. These images and stories are completely false. I'm not a witness or a named witness in connection with any of Epstein's crimes. My name has never appeared in court documents, depositions, victim statements, or FBI in interviews surrounding the Epstein matter. I have never had any knowledge of Epstein abuse of his victims.
All right, I think we can.
I was never involved in any capacity. I was not a participant, was never on any.
I mean, this is a long statement, and it's repetitive.
It's not her text. You can,
Right, yeah,
You can
it's
tell
not
by
her
the
text,
way she
right.
she mispronounces her words. Yeah. So somebody wrote this for her
Right.
and said,
This is why I said PR.
yeah,
Because as journalists, we recognize PR.
Exactly.
I mean, this is PR 101.
Yeah.
And this is why I said she's getting out ahead of a story. And so it looks as if she's injecting herself into the story. But I mean, and we don't know, right? So she's injecting herself into the story to deflect. It didn't work because Pakistan happened last night, and J.D. Vance gave a massive press conference. He walked out and he said, you know, we talked and we did not have an agreement.
Exactly.
So the Strait of Hormuz is closed, and Israel has been bombing. There was no ceasefire, by the way.
no, none at all.
Right, so Israel is still bombing
Lebanon.
and China has been dragged into the midst, where now the President of the United States has said that China is about to give arms to Iran, and China has come out to say, oh, stop it. This is when I read China's response, it was just like that, like to a little child. Oh,
Because China really doesn't care.
just
do
stop
they?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're really on the side of Iran. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's like China saying, "What are you on about?"
Exactly.
You know. I mean, this is what can I do for you? Talk to us, Peter. What are we missing? The next time cigarette is at 7:00. All right, thanks. So we have that. So it didn't work.
No.
If that is what it was. So you've got your phone. Let us check to see if that interview that should have been done. I think the surname of the person is Ungaro, Ungaro.
Let me check.
That it should have been done in Spain,
Right.
and published today, if I'm not wrong.
And that's the interview with Melania.
That's the interview with the woman Ungaro.
Okay.
Right, but it seems from what's out there in the public sphere is that there is a threat to Melania, by in terms. Well, I don't know much about it. Okay. let me see.
Amanda
Yeah.
Unaro is what you're talking about. Yes.
Okay, so all right. So do you see that coming up?
I see something in El País. She's a Brazilian model. There you go, model again. It's you see how it's too
So
much?
if you type her name with Melania,
Yeah? Okay. Let me go back there.
you'll probably okay. So my friend who is an attorney who is in the United Kingdom listening. Hey Donnie, how you doing? She says it's obfuscation. Obfuscation, and so she's right. I think that there is obfuscation. There is, as you said, injecting herself in the middle of the ongoing disaster,
Right.
which is the war against Iran, but also is she, which is let me put this in the form of a question, is she getting out ahead of a story that's about to come out? That's a question.
And we don't know. We'll just
No.
have to wait and see. But to say the least, it's all very weird. And this is what I mean when I say I just can't keep up.
Yeah.
So this is the okay. The day I'm going to take Daily Beast. They got a headline saying the strange case of Melania and the model deported by ICE. So
Deported.
So this Ungaro, I had no knowledge of this Ungaro. Amanda Unaro, she came to the United States from Slovenia, just like Melania. And Brazil. Oh, no. Melania is from Slovenia and she's from Brazil.
Okay.
Both of them in search of a better life. And for a while, Ungaro and her then boyfriend, Zampoli, were close to Trump and Melania.
Know that name. That because Zampoli is somebody who's in the inner circle,
Right.
of Donald Trump's circle.
Yes.
And I think might have gone also to Pakistan
I see.
with J.D. Vance.
Really?
This is, listen, don't quote me on it, but I think that person was on that team. If not on that team, then very close to that team or something to that
You want me
effect.
to check that, Paolo
Yeah.
Zampoli?
Yeah.
In Pakistan? Yeah.
Right, because the team, we know Jared Kushner was there. We know
All kinds of
J.D.
unlikely
Vance
people.
was there, right? In that team that went. I know we're spending some time talking about this, but while we're talking about this, there's ongoing genocide in as we look for the information. I hope you still look for it.
I'm looking for it, yes.
Ongoing genocide in Sudan, and this is happening from 2003 to the present. I think one of the most serious cases of genocide, and I don't know if you can really table or put them in a hierarchy, genocide, because genocide is what it is. But in Sudan, it is at a critical stage. Ethnically targeted violence, mass killing of women, men, boys, girls, babies, mass rape. Villages are being destroyed. People are denied access to food, to medicine. We have 11 million people displaced already. And a few weeks ago, I gave the background to what's happening in Sudan with the Arab militias and the Janjaweed, and how the Janjaweed was a government operative that turned against government and is now operating as one of the most cruel militias around town. Also, there's ongoing genocide in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the DRC. This has been happening from 1996 until the present. 6 million have already been killed in this genocide. We are seeing millions have been displaced, and sexual violence, we talk about that a lot. We do have to go to a break. We take a quick break and come back with much more insight. What's happening in the world is it's phenomenal. As you said earlier, Aldith, I don't know how we can even absorb this. But while we focus on Gaza and Lebanon and Iran, because these genocides have been going on for such a long time, I think we are ignoring them, or some, there's some apathy that we've developed.
That's the word, apathy.
Yeah, there's genocide in Yemen. Ongoing genocide. The U.S. has been bombing Somalia every day since Barack Obama. A bombs drop in Somalia every 3 days in a week. Donald Trump, when he came to in this last
Epstein's
year, he said one of the first acts that he did was to bomb Somalia.
Yeah.
There is Cuba that, somehow we're not talking about Cuba anymore. I think Turkey sent a floating electric grid, so Cuba is getting some electricity or some oil. Russia sent oil, and there was a flotilla, but Cuba is just on our back steps. It's just next to us, really. We can literally, as I said before, hear our
From where you live, you can see it on a clear day.
We can see Cuba on a clear day. And so there's that, and there's Haiti.
Right. But these are all black countries, Carol, so the world doesn't care.
Right. So we're looking where they're telling us to look. And it becomes this massive thing. But remember that this thing that we're seeing as so egregious and we're seeing as, as if there's nothing else happening. This thing, Iran, Gaza, has been happening in Sudan, the DRC, Yemen, Haiti. It boggles the mind. So, and when you talk about terrorism, you don't hear that word much anymore. You hear about terror state.
That's the new thing. Yeah.
So, did you find anything about Zampoli? Is Natisha here?
Zampoli is the ex of this Ungaro woman. She bore him a son. And according to this item I'm reading here, he kind of pushed her in front of the bus to be deported by ICE.
Well, that's the thing.
There you go.
That's the thing. I think, and this is why I'm saying, there is that. Where is she now?
I don't know where she is now.
I think
she's from Brazil, so maybe she's in Brazil.
She was deported by ICE.
Right.
But a former friend, close friend of Melania.
Yes. He is the one, yet again, according to this article, who introduced Donald to Melania. And he's now the U.S. Special Representative for Global Partnerships on behalf of Trump.
Well, there you go. And this is why I think he was in Pakistan, because global partnership. He was
in, exactly, right? like a special envoy.
Right, right. So Google Ungaro's interview, because I think she's about to give an interview, or she gave an interview. And this might be the story that Melania is getting. Listen, I think a little. You first corrected me on the Melania name, and I'm getting so many texts.
Melania.
from as far as the continent of Africa to say it's Melania.
Melania, yeah. Amanda Unaro interview.
Right. It is. So there is that, and there is also somebody else. I think some marine or person. But did you find it?
Yeah, but I haven't read it yet, so I have to read it. She gave an interview to somebody. Let me read it and I'll tell you.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is all of that. We look who is here. Come stand up right here for a minute. You're gonna have your own microphone. You are actually very late. So come stand up right here for a minute.
Look
because
at
this is punishment corner.
I'm realized.
Right. So then you go back. Then you go back to your space. Right. Punishment corner. But we hold you.
Look here.
Look at the camera and apologize.
Fabulous.
But
All I need to do is the button the top, but everything else airy.
this is crazy.
Everything else coming up airy this morning.
How you look so fresh? Did you sleep?
I heard your plight, so I'm not sure.
Hold on, talk hello, talk processor. This is the microphone.
My microphone.
By the way, she's looking at herself in the camera.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Go on.
Natisha is
And
always.
I am treading carefully with your sleep issues because we stayed at the same place, right?
Yes, you actually stayed in my apartment.
Same thing. I slept like a baby. I have never heard rain fall on house stop in a long time. I'm a proper country girl.
Let me drink my coffee.
Mr. The
because
rain did
I don't know what
sweet.
happened to you.
I tune out everything else, and when I got up, I'm hearing, Mr. Lord, look how me asleep about the interview this morning.
Oh.
But you know, we're friends. So.
Me feel text. Me not pay the text, no man. Me don't care. Me see the.
I'll put this
Look
into
at me.
perspective.
I can't even read the text on
Not
air.
really, I can't read it. But I'm just saying, I made it.
So you're
That's
ready?
all that matter.
You ready? I must link you up on Zoom.
I know me so. I know me so.
Well, welcome. Look in the camera
Hi, camera.
and apologize.
My humblest apology for enjoying ultraviolence rain on a rooftop that I have not been able to enjoy for a while because we live in concrete jungle Kingston.
So put on a zinc.
And
on your room,
therefore,
you'll be
exactly, I'm
fine.
thinking about
Yeah.
it, barring hurricane
So like you
realities.
work with the World Bank, don't it? You're not the apology then. None apology.
No apology. Like, yeah, apologize. No. But yeah, I said, look at them for really. I try to spoil my joy.
Yeah, who
In
you
the
think you are? The
process.
52 who didn't
didn't
sign the United Nations
You know what I
thingy,
said? Look at them. Or the ones who should have contributed to the drafting but didn't.
but did not. Right. You know, I want to talk to you about that because I saw a post that you made.
You saw it?
I saw your post. Please.
I took it down. I have my reasons.
Well, I saw the post, so I'm going to ask you
It
about
was
it.
a lot of ranting, but I can talk about it.
Yes, all right. So do you know that you're not in your position, though, that you're literally in my space?
I am.
Did I miss something?
You called me out.
You put up a post and took it down?
You know, no. It's semantics.
Oh, semantic.
Look here,
What's
it's
in my
semantics.
post?
I don't know about no semantics.
Where's my post? Oh,
Your
look,
post,
it's-
look here.
What's your name? Don't say
Say, Khadija carrying you there to you. Hey, Khadija, welcome.
change everything for the rate.
It's rain while she's... Oh, you just come to Khadija? Come here, so come apologize. Come on here, so.
Oh, early though. I see I'm making it. Look here.
Okay, all right.
It's total chaos in IRI FM studios this morning.
No, it's not. They're still going to follow back for Khadija. But going into Studio B.
We know whenever Natisha's around, there is going to be total chaos. We all know that.
Yeah, she have a solution for the chaos, though.
Excellent, excellent. So,
All right, so we're going to talk to her in a little while. So did you manage to...
yes. Well, what with the noise? She gave this interview to talk about her expulsion from the United States, which she attributes to maneuvers by her former partner. And she also talked about a flight on Epstein's plane.
She has given the interview?
She has. Yes. Yes, she has.
Oh.
And it's all about deportations. She spent nearly half her life in the States, and she was deported last October. She endured 3 hellish months in a detention center until she was expelled, like more than 600,000 immigrants since Donald Trump returned to the White House in January last year. What is unusual in this case is that the former model who worked at the United Nations is that alongside her former partner and the father of her son, Sampoli, this Ungaro had in the past shared evenings with the Trumps at Mar-a-Lago, including a party touring in the year 2022, which she now recalls as one of those incredibly boring 6-hour events, etc., etc. So it's the two couples that kind of move through life together, and at some point they're friends, at other points they...
Because she tweeted,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And in the tweet, I think she telegraphed that she was going to be laying out the entire thing, the relationships
Right.
between the Trumps and the Epsteins and herself and so on. And I think that it's on the back of that PR said to Melania,
Be there first.
yeah, get out ahead of a story.
Okay.
And if you listen to her presentation just now, it sounded like someone who was saying, if you go too far with this, you are going to be sued for defamation, because here I have come out and denied all of what is likely to come out.
So you think she's talking about Ungaro?
I think she's talking about Ungaro. And if not Ungaro, then Marina, what her name is, because that's also out there.
Right.
And do not forget Michael Wolff. I'm just saying that
So she's preemptively striking.
this is what I'm thinking. It's a preemptive strike, which I think can work from a PR perspective. Because if you get out ahead of a story,
Right.
because this is how PR works,
yeah.
and I put you on notice,
Yes. Yes.
then if you still run with the story, I have more meat, more evidence in a court of law to say, and I'm not a lawyer, because Natisha, she can talk to us about that.
Right.
To say, well, I came out and I said this, and you still went ahead
And did it.
and defamed me,
Yes. And I gave you fair warning.
and I gave you a fair warning.
Wow.
This is what I'm thinking. This is just my whole thinking, and this is why I think her husband knew about this, because this is the kind of thing he would do.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, Well, let us see.
We have to wait today to see what comes out.
Yes.
Because
and see what's coming from Michael Wolff and see what, because remember Michael Wolff literally had to withdraw one book, He
Right.
published one book in the UK, the same book, another version in the United States,
Right.
and I think he had to withdraw one because he included some text messages, exchanges that he said were between Melania and Jeffrey Epstein. And I think in the reprinted book,
he kind of took that out.
Yeah. This is...
But this
So
is
that's
what
the
I keep
Epstein thing.
saying. There is too much going on.
Yeah, there's so much going on, and it's really difficult to. Some of it don't make. Some of it are fool business. Like all this, we spend so much time on it. I don't fool business.
Maybe we are spending too much time on
Yeah.
it. But on the other hand, if we don't, and
Yeah.
things really get out of hand.
Yeah, because we're connected. Remember, everything is connected, as you
Right.
say. Because we don't see Jamaicans whose names are all over the Epstein files.
And why is that? When Jamaica is so on the forefront of whatever
they
Epstein
haven't
was
come
doing.
out. They haven't come out to say anything, and they're probably going to have
Are
to.
we sure we're not going to find any names?
But we already see a lot of names.
Yes, but I mean incrimination. Right now, we're only seeing Jamaicans as being subject of
Right, yeah.
this
Yeah.
disgusting research,
Yeah,
by the way.
but we've seen incriminating stuff from somebody who lives here, who's been living in Jamaica for a very long time.
Yes, but a foreigner living in Jamaica.
Yeah, but it don't matter.
No, but
We need to. If we were fearless journalists,
we'd
we
take
probably
it to it.
we probably follow that. Right.
I'm fearless, but I'm too old for this now. Let's
There you go. Is Natisia ready for us with her gorgeous self? It's really a sisterly thing this morning. And when Aldith is in the house and when Natisia joins us and Esther Figaro is in the house, that is just a girls' weekend.
Yay.
I think Esther slept also, and she was in the very same place.
Yes, she was. I just think I had the sorry little room this time. Never mind.
Some people never sleep. All right, let me take a break, and when we come back, there she is with her gorgeous self.
Oh, doesn't she
All right,
great.
so we're going to take a quick break and come right back with much more inside of the Africa Forum.
Running African Studio, Kabuma at Karu, being the host today. My name is Aldith, and joining us in the second studio today is, well, you've seen her already, looking fabulous as ever.
Yes.
But apart from being fabulous, she's also an attorney at law, human rights advocate, and specialist in global human rights issues in the areas of gender development, peace, security, and reparatory justice. And she's the founder and the chair of the Children of the Ma'afa, which is all about recognition, justice, and development, civil society initiative, and so much more. Recipient of countless fellows, and with us here this morning, Natisha Bohartzi.
Well known across Jamaica and the globe. She is a globetrotter. She's just coming back from Canada, actually. Natisia, welcome to Studio B. I think that's your first time in Studio B.
Yes, I'm loving Studio B. I got
Hang on
some
there, that's
really-
me. I have to get you up on that. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great. I was saying I'm loving Studio B, my own little safe space. Took some photos, so you'll be seeing those, but love the improvements.
Yeah. You're looking good. Are you alone there in Studio B? Because you look very lonely.
No, I have our dear sister Figaro over on across from me.
Okay.
Tuning in and laughing. Laughing. Apparently I'm a character, I'm not sure.
Right. I think I'm probably going to ask Esther to just walk on stage or something to make you feel like it, because you look really isolated. I'm so sorry. I'm going to bring the plants closer.
But I'm seeing through your glass, so I'm good.
Okay, great. Okay, there you are. Nat, you're just coming in from Canada. Just a quick little recap of what that visit was about.
Sure. So from 2023, I've been assisting an organization, a Black youth focused organization. They started out named the Developing Young Leaders of Today Tomorrow Dialogue, and they ran for a while a program called the Black Diplomats Academy. So they train young Black children from a certain age to understand diplomacy, to be able come to the table in global conversations on global issues. Underserved population, and that was their focus. And so when I met the CEO, she's Jamaican by birth, we started to, do some stuff. I was paid to draft a concept note and then attended the event in 2023, and from there our relationship started. We have now outgrown, I believe, and I say we because I'm very much a part of their work. We have now outgrown the first part of what they started out, which is just the academy. We started to think about economic development and to locate young people in the developmental structures of not just Canada, but the world. So they rebranded. It's now the Organization of Economic Development and Diplomacy. It is Canadian funded. It's government funded in largely because the programs align to some of the multilateral agreements that the Canadian government may have and the need that the government is seeing in terms of the Black community. So I am now technically one of their global strategists, legal, technical, and research strategist. I am helping them with the technical stuff, the document stuff. But we had a summit. I was a guest speaker. We had persons from all over the world. A member of the UN Permanent Forum, Dr. Corey, she was a part of the discussions. A lot of the ambassadors, our consul general from Jamaica to Toronto. And it was really just a kind of a convening around the issues that young people face, yes, but the international decade the first international decade for people of African descent, the output and what we hope to achieve when we move now into the second international decade, which is what we're in. And how does a permanent forum feature? And how is the work on the ground merging with the real realities of the people of African descent on the ground?
I suppose, obviously, continuing work. We are, as usual, really proud of the work that you're doing, Natisha.
Thank you, my sister.
And as I said earlier, we're just going to jump right in here because you came to talk about a whole lot more, right? But
right.
I saw the post that you deleted, and I don't know if you want to talk about that post.
I do.
But because I'm not sure. All right. So basically, it is connected to the vote at the United Nations that Ghana carried for to the UN,
Right.
Asking the United Nations to vote on the slavery
Right.
being the greatest crime against humanity,
yeah.
which actually happened. The voting structure, if you will, is very revealing. 52 or 53 nations. The European Union voted abstained. The UK, the US, and Argentina voted no. Even Malta abstained, I think.
Well, isn't that where all the Christian, what you call them?
The dungeons.
Yes. That
you
too.
mean-
the guys on the horses? The ones that went to the. I forget
Oh, the
where.
Crusaders?
The Crusaders. That's Malta.
Oh, well, there you go.
It's the Maltese cross.
I didn't even make that connection. But you see, and this because I kept saying, I mean, Malta, but this is pretty good. But here you are, Natisha. So you, and I want Peter to put this up because I screen grabbed something from you that I sent to Peter immediately, and I said, Peter, and it's literally I think from a computer screen where you were looking at the countries
Right.
that were actually present or signed off on the document
Or
itself.
had something to do with the document.
Let me throw it out to you and tell me what it is that you were so concerned about that you texted and then posted and then deleted.
It was the ongoing hypocrisy. Let me put it in, that's a broad framework.
Yeah.
I believe there's a level of
There it is.
As my mother would say, I like to quote my mother because she's from that time where the sayings make sense. My mother would say, it's like you lick we and show we if a drop. And I find that for a while now in the anti-racism architecture, whether working formally in Jamaica and now doing some work on the global level, which will trickle down to Jamaica. I find that, and I'm going to speak, is the government of the day, and I'm doing a broad brush without apology, and some parts of government doing this liquid and show if a drop. And I'm going to tell you something that's embarrassing. A sister and a brother from the Caribbean, we were having a discussion while you know, just going through some ideas on Zoom. And when this came up as to Jamaica, and I've always been boasting about the fact that I was the legal, technical, and administrative consultant to our national council, and that we did a lot of work, etc. Right? So I am known for that. I'm known for somebody to be a part of the struggle. And a brother of mine jokingly said to me, and I was very embarrassed, that, you know, Jamaica, our government and our people, them act like we are Christopher Columbus, where we just are, you see, Esther laughing.
I'm going to take Esther out of the studio. Esther, please come into studio A.
we are put a statement like we're Christopher Columbus, where when we see something promising go on, we're going to plant a flag. I was just so embarrassed.
So what does that mean? Because Jamaica has been at the forefront of the reparations movement.
We have been at the forefront of reparation when we started our commission, etc. I don't know if we have been at the forefront of some of these.
Long before we started the commission, though, from the early 1980s, 70s.
But Kabu, let us please recall that if your work is not translating to the end goal, then are you really working? You always talk about the tree falling in the forest and if nobody hear it. Yeah, that. I'm saying, unfortunately, if Ghana was the face of this resolution, and I understand, given UN legal structures, that we needed to have somebody at the face. I wrote a legal opinion 5 years ago to suggest that someone move a resolution on the Human Rights Council, given the fact that I am off with the UN structure. I also liken that to Burkina Faso being the face of the moving of the resolution for the George Floyd thing to be activated. Yeah. I am saying I do understand that we had to be the face, but if it's an effort of multiple countries, I would have liked to know, and I'm thinking that because of what you just said about the reparatory justice movement and Jamaica's role, I would have wanted to be bold enough and bright enough to say my country did this, that, and the other. My country drafted this paragraph. Now, I'm not doing a broad brush thing to say my country don't do anything. I'm just saying I'm not seeing my country.
Okay, so Peter, put that up again, because that was a screen grab from Naticia's post last night. And basically, if you look at, can you see it, Aldous? Aldous is putting on her reading glasses.
I am.
Okay, so what we have there, tell us what we have here.
And I want to also add it to the why.
Yeah.
Because when the resolution was voted on, that's when Jamaicans then, and I'm going to say it like that, would even know that a resolution was carried. A lot of people don't follow these things. Right. We have to come here and other places to break it down.
Right, because Jamaica celebrated.
But Jamaica put out a statement.
But Jamaica's not on the list.
Well,
but Jamaica put. But here's
here you go with Christine Columbus.
Here's where I want to go.
Because
Jamaica put out a statement, and to persons who are not following, they would say, "Yeah, man, Jamaica vote." But I'm saying.
So what is this list we're looking at? What is this list?
From what is the resolution had to be carried and drafted and pushed forward. Okay. And I'm saying, where is Jamaica in all of the process?
Yeah,
not the vote that eventually we would have if Jamaica did abstain, we would have to change with name and move. Mm-hmm. So that is a no-brainer. And I'm saying it's apples and oranges. And I feel like it is the way we continue to do this, to take the credit for things we're not even supposed to be put up.
Why was Jamaica? Do you know? Have you had?
I don't know, because again, foreign and regional affairs, law, and those areas, I think we package it as a country on political lines and put it out in kind of bite-sized ways in which people should consume it, because they are not going to go and read the large text.
But you asked some questions in the post that you deleted.
Right.
Raise those questions that
I am asking, one, did Jamaica do any foundational work with Ghana and some of the people who I know was a part of the drafting? This is something that I follow. I do this for a living. I am asking if Jamaica through our foreign relations? Did any of the foundational work? Did any of the drafting? Did any of the consultation? If they did. 2, if so, why is Jamaica not formally included? And along those lines, many other questions. Secondly, we're in the second international decade of people of African descent. What are some of the gains made by a predominantly black population like Jamaica, who, as you rightly just said, stood at the forefront of reparatory justice movement and have a population of Rastafari grounding here? Thirdly, and I could go on.
No, go on.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Natisha, what if you were to answer your own question, what would you say?
I think I've been saying the answer all along, all the
Yeah.
But I have been trained to speak a particular way.
I understand that.
And I want to use this opportunity to get out a lot more than even what that would get out. I think I'm saying that justice must not only be done then, if it's being done. It must appear to be done. It must appear to be done also. And that from the utterances of the last 3 weeks, and by the way, let me shift to ground this. I am the daughter of a Rasta woman. I don't play with my heritage. And I'm not somebody who is a rolling stone, so to speak, who get up and just talk. And so I am here having a conversation away from my diplomatic engagements and all the things I'm doing at the level. I'm saying I've just about had enough of the little things that chipping away at the gains we've made all these years.
I think we're going to reach out to the NCR, the National Council on Reparations. Vice Chair is friend to the program, Bert Samuels, to ask what happened here, because we're seeing Barbados on the list.
Yeah.
Did I see St. Kitts or was it St. Lucia? The other Caribbean countries.
Yes.
And Antigua, I think, was on the list too.
Yeah.
And that list from Naticia's post. We're going to take a break. Thanks for I know you deleted the post, but it caught my attention because it raised a lot of questions for me regarding this vote, which I have been talking about in this space, which I said, as a journalist, I would have headlined differently, right? Which is to say, instead of celebrating that the United Nations voted on this to say slavery was the greatest crime against humanity, then we must, I think there's a bigger story, which is to say, as we ourselves saying it, and we ourselves carry it to the UN, and then we ourselves say it again in the UN, because the enslavers, the oppressors, those who participated, those who facilitated, and those who were part of it voted no or abstained.
But at least it's out there,
It's nowhere. It's nowhere. It's nowhere. I'll talk about the United Nations impotency, I think, is where we have to go, right? The United Nations need Viagra. Let us. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Let's take a break.
Yeah.
From the creators of Money Fridays,
Here, I see her laughing already. But I'm a calypso girl. I can calypso and soca. All right, so Natisha Bahad Singh is in the house with us. And Natisha, lots of questions coming in, as you can well imagine, because people are surprised. I wonder if it's an oversight.
These things don't just take a day. I know for a fact. I know for a fact that when you're going to have an intent of drafting a resolution and those things, persons are informed. There's a particular structure to these things, right? I can tell you that when I went to the World Bank, I posted it, by the way, on my page. When I went to the World Bank to deal with different matters at the launch of the report, I met the deputy chief of staff to the Ghana's president, Nana. And Nana and I started talking. And when she told me about this effort, that's even before the resolution was passed, I said to her, is it okay for your aide to video our conversation? And she said, yes, video it. And that's how I got the video. We started over by introducing ourselves. in the video. It's on my page currently.
Yes, yes.
And she said to me, she's glad that I'm on dealing with reparation, and I was somebody who was assisting my country because their president is preparing the resolution to go to the UN to do the resolution. I knew about the resolution, and as I said, I am intimately involved in the global work. And when I say that, I don't always talk about some of the things, but I am formally included, in groups dealing with anti-racism outside of Jamaica. I am very well in the know at the so-called highest level. So I'm saying to you that if Jamaica don't get involved, I can understand the reasonings, but don't come outside to package something to allow it to look another way. That's where I'm having a problem. And I won't lean in on something now locally, because there's a kind of a shift to the dark side I am seeing when it comes to the gains that we have also made. On the one hand, we understand that we're a people coming out of slavery, and we would have had to chip away positively to kind of detangle the fabrics of discrimination, multiple aggravated ones. We would have to chip away towards the symbols that represent us as a nation that didn't start off as equals, right? And we've seen the work. We can call the names of the people. And 3 weeks ago, when I saw the post from the cultural liaison of the Ministry of Culture, was when I started to feel like I am not sure what zone I'm living in at the moment.
All right. I saw that you also in your social spaces that you have been discussing this, talking about
Correct.
this, and literally the interaction there out of this world. I think a lot of people are really concerned about what came out of the Ministry of Culture, because basically that's what that is.
Right.
I want you to talk to us about that, because I raised that in the space last week, which was to say we cannot
Yes.
preside over changing the narrative
Yes.
about Rastafari and the struggles of Rastafari at this stage of our history. So what was the post, and what are the major concerns that you have?
Right. And I'll extend to say we cannot decolonize the narrative and then politicize it.
Yes.
Because that was, in my mind, what took place. The cultural liaison reposted something from a known blogger from the Jamaica Labour Party, and I can say this because of the content of what the person posts all the time, and reposted it to say that it is not only the JLP who had murdered Rasta. No, we know about Coral Garden massacre, and the incident and the commemoration is something that up to today people are reeling from. Yes. My mother was 15 when she saw the police them kick off my grandfather's door. My grandfather had to pay £20 in those days to get himself out of jail for something that he was not even a part of, based on discrimination. So when you see somebody who wears locks and have a title and supposed to be represented the interest, now putting a spin, which is what it boiled down to, on such an incident, you have to wonder what is being orchestrated and who sanctioned that. The post was about this very event being more PNP centered in terms of the atrocities. First, she said, PNP murdered Rasta. No Rasta died in Coral Garden. No Rasta died in Coral Garden in itself. Only the murderers then, the persons who the PNP hanged under their government.
So this post was a repost, or
no. She reposted the article that the other person posted, but then made these comments. These were her comments.
So these comments made by the cultural liaison.
I can read it.
Liaison in the Ministry of Culture. And I spoke to this last week and literally said that Minister Grange has a care of duty. I don't know how to call it in the law. Duty of care to respond to this and to say and to distance the Ministry of Culture from this. But go ahead and read it.
I'm not saying that these are the sentiments of the minister. But you would have known that I worked intimately with the minister on reparation and on the anti-racism architecture, and within those times she had been a formidable partner when it comes to what she needed out of it. I understood her mindset.
And I don't think it's her sentiments either, but it's coming from her cultural liaison.
Right. But I'm saying Fast forward now to St. Kitts actually doing something for Rastafari in their nation as an island state. And Jamaica get up, take offense. Take offense.
Before we go to St. Kitts, because I want to go there, because I raised that last week in this space, Ida, also, and you are you're an attorney that I want to ask a question about this, because I know you've been looking at it. Can you find the post?
Yes,
go ahead and read that.
and also that the RMO also has a lot to say on this, I am told, and
yes, the RMO has put out a statement. It's a pretty long statement. I wasn't able to open it until just as I got to work, so I haven't been able to read through it. So if you have, I'm going to lean on you to kind of talk us through.
I have it.
And tell us who RMO is.
So let me tell you what the cultural liaison said. I have it here.
Yes.
After the blogger post, most Jamaicans know nothing about Jamaica's history under the People's National Party led by Norman Manley. And it had Norman Manley face. That's the blogger, right? And it went on to cite some of the things I said earlier. The cultural liaison reposted. The other half of the story that hardly ever told. Claudius Henry was in prison serving 10 years for treason when his son Rodolphe was hanged by the PNP for attempting to overthrow the Jamaican government. It's worth mentioning that despite the much repeated statement, in bracket, bring them in dead or alive, that would be the statement from Bustamante, right? Made by Buster after the arson and chopping to death of police and citizens at Coral Gardens by Rudolph Franklin and his gang. She put in caps, no Rastas died in the roundup by police and army after the shocking killing. Many Rastas were badly beaten, brutalized, locks cut, and homes smashed. Those would be my ancestors, by the way, I'm injecting. But were not involved in the murderous Coral Garden incident. Only Franklin and the people he chopped to death died at Coral Gardens.
You know,
what is this?
Yeah, it's a rewriting of history. And this is something that I've warned the Minister of Culture about. That under her stewardship, as far as I am concerned, the best culture minister Jamaica has seen, I stand by that. I've said that many times in this space, has been Babsy Grange. But under her stewardship, Jamaica's history is also being rewritten. Those of us who have lived the history, who have participated in the history, who created the history, are being written out of history under Minister Grange's stewardship. Sooner or later, we're going to have to go in search of ourselves. And this is basically where we are. So this is a rewriting of the history, and this is why I think Minister Grange has to respond.
And then what they would have expected after a statement like that being put out a week before Coral Garden, that my mother who endured brutality 15 years old would go and knock drum and stand up beside anybody who is trying to erase their pain. And what is the attempt at internal reparation? All of that going to go to naught. Because whether or not you are going to assist in housing, healthcare, and etc., if you are going to, and I'm saying you in plural, and singular, if you are going to rewrite the very atrocities done, what's the sense of reparation? Part of reparation is acknowledgement and acceptance and satisfaction.
Yeah, I think this is very serious. It's really serious. The history of Chief Tetchy in Jamaica and the literary archaeology around Chief Tetchy has been rewritten through the Ministry of Culture in the last 5 years.
Why? Why would that?
I do not know. This is a point. The history of the return of the ancestors to Ghana, Crystal, that has been rewritten by the Ministry of Culture. Now, I've raised this point with Minister Grange. I've looked in her eyes and I've told her that the history is being rewritten under your stewardship. And this is not a good look for somebody who is doing so well.
Exactly. What did she say?
Well, she said she was going to look into all of these things, but nothing has changed. Correct. You see, nothing has changed.
You need her to be in the studio next week.
I agree.
I am appealing to Minister Grange that it's not a good look for your ministry. for me, I think that you do not want this, and I think that you really do not know. But the minute that we raise this with you, to say those of us who participated, those of us who organized, those of us who literally conceptualized, who came up with the idea, those of us who did the literary archaeology and discovered, for example, the correct spelling and name of Chief Tetchi and where he's connected to in Ghana. We are being written out of that history. That entire history has been given to foreigners under your watch. And by foreigners, I mean non-Jamaicans. Let's just take a break. We'll be right back. I am getting the RMO statement, which I hope that they have also included the discussions coming out of St. Kitts and Nevis, which is to say St. Kitts has done something that through their constitution. Right. And I am concerned about this, and I want I don't know the extent to which you have been looking at it, but I want your perspective on this, because I remember covering when Jamaica acknowledged Rastafari as faith, right, in law.
Right.
But my recollection of this is that it wasn't necessarily a blanket recognition. There was a one church situation, and I'm saying church because that's what it was. And I had many interviews, I think, with Senator Fox and all of those persons who were now carrying this into the prisons, because now you could legally do this. It was that this wasn't as blanket a statement as a response that we're getting from Minister Grange. I could be wrong, but tell me.
And not just Minister Grange.
And not just Minister Grange, but also
who people look to for guidance are also saying things that would support misstatements, and that is serious.
Yeah, and
without
I'm going to,
any disrespect.
I'm going to call up my friend and brother Bert Samuels. And I'm very, very close to Bert. But Bert has also responded to this, and he seems to be agreeing with Minister Grange, which is something that I think we have to raise with Bert about the extent to which he has looked at this. Because this is not how I see this. I don't know your own perspective, but talk to us about what St. Kitts did and where the differences are between St. Kitts and Jamaica.
And I will do that, and then probably read some of the things in the RMO statement, because I believe it gave great coverage.
Yeah.
I want to congratulate them on really looking at it from the levels. I went through and I looked at it, and I couldn't have said it better. But I will just say legal semantics is what's happening in the utterances that we're talking about.
All right, go ahead. I'll give you the time.
You mean to yes
to do that and then segue into the RMO?
Yes, I'll just do the broad base to say that.
Yeah,
you're correct in terms of the religion, and I can say up to the last report I read from to CERD, and I don't know if there's another one that would have appeared from Jamaica after CERD had asked Jamaica to come before them. As you know, I would have helped with that statement to CERD from that time in 2022 to be able to say to the Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, this is what is lacking. Mm-hmm. That was sent. CERD called the government in front of them. You and I know, my sister, that I follow this. I read everything. I know what is going on, even if I'm not saying it. So the minister and the ministry appeared in front of CERD, and they said a few things. However, we don't have a Rastafari Act. That is clear. So we don't need to have a legal semantics around that. Up to the time before CERD called the ministry, we were still saying to the UN that we don't have any indigenous people in Jamaica. Fact.
Yes, I listened in on that, and that is exactly what was said.
Fact also that Rastafari don't have any broad-based rights also in Jamaica. So when St. Kitts came out and talked about putting the rights being the operative word in law, I think we should have just taken several seats though and say, how do we then either follow this? How do we then go back to the drawing board? How would we then see how we can compare, as we learn in law, compare, contrast, distinguish what St. Kitts is saying they're going to do for our population. We didn't do that. We came out strongly and misled a whole country in thinking that St. Kitts is not doing anything novel because we don't guarantee Rasta rights in law. And then a few case laws were used in the media to signal that this is the evidence. This is what we have done, and therefore Rastas have rights. No, I just want to take the time to do the statement.
So that goes back to the point that my girlfriend made earlier, Dawn Eaton, who is listening in England, talking about obfuscation. Because when I saw the minister's response, and when I saw my friend Bert's response, and I really didn't have a conversation with Bert, I really need to do that, I was a little bit surprised because this was not my recollection. But I think like many Jamaicans, when the minister first, you questioned that, but when Bert came on, you said, okay, Bert knows.
Exactly.
So I left it at that. But then it's still, I still have this question in my mind that what St. Kitts has done is really different, that Jamaica has not reached the level that St. Kitts has gone.
And my sister,
Yes.
I am an advocate and I understand the principles of advocacy. I yield to the Rastafari movement on this one.
Go ahead. Let us hear
I really want Jamaica to hear how they feel about it. Not just Naticia coming out to talk as an advocate.
Can we put? Do we have the statement? I didn't send. I sent it to you. The
I
statement.
have it. You said you want to
Yeah, go ahead and read.
You have it.
I'll send it. No, I'm not able to open, but I'm going to send to Peter the
so
statement.
you can put it up in the
so
meantime.
you can put it up. All right.
All
go
right.
ahead.
Let me start. And I'll go as quickly as I can. So for immediate release, Rastafari Mansions and Organization issues official response to Minister Olivia Grange status of human rights, call for comprehensive Rastafari Rights Act. Now, Rastafari, the statement reads, Rastafari is an indigenous culture and faith-based group of Jamaica which has made global impact on humanity in diverse ways. Since the emergence of Rastafari in Jamaica in the early 1930s, following the coronation of His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I of Ethiopia, the community has over time evolved into an iconic and revered global symbol of Jamaica, African consciousness, and a prominent moral standard of righteousness and wholesome living for the world. The formally constituted Rastafari Mansion and Organization, which represents the widest consortium of Rastafari organizations in Jamaica, applauds the government of St. Kitts and Nevis for establishing its standalone 2023 Rastafari Rights Recognition Act legislation, which officially recognized Rastafari as a religious group and provides both sacramental rights and baseline economic reparations for Rastafari citizens. The formal March 2026 declaration in their National Assembly underscores their commitment to human rights for their Rastafari citizens while raising significant awareness of disparities that remain inadequately addressed. RMO must also acknowledge the government of Antigua and Barbuda for the 2023 sacramental authorization grant under their existing 2018 Cannabis Act, which explicitly links Rastafari religious and cultural identity to human rights responsibilities and provide a reparation framework through cannabis licensing that provides for economic justice.
And let me just let our listeners know, for those who are listening on the 107s and those who have not gone over to Facebook or YouTube, that we have the statement on the screen on Facebook, YouTube, IG, you name it. So you can read along with Naticia. Go ahead, Nat.
Yes. Further, RMO rejects and refutes the Jamaican government's recent claim that Rastafari has already been providing meaningful recognition for Rastafari within its legal and constitutional framework, a claim which came in response to St. Kitts' recent declaration of legislation advances in their country. Jamaica's claim of regional leadership in legislative protection of Rastafari rights is false. True recognition and protection requires specific definition and entrenchment in law to ensure broad multidimensional legal status that can be filtered into various branches of government with enforcement and monitoring for accountability. That has not happened. RMO therefore calls on the government of Jamaica to engage the Rastafari community in developing the country's first comprehensive Rastafari Act, drawing on regional and international models for historically oppressed peoples. The acute need for such an act cannot be fully appreciated without acknowledging the lived realities of Rastafari in Jamaica. And I'm pausing there.
Yes.
We have headers such as, and which could be ventilated in this press statement. We have headers such as state discrimination and violations. We have further headers, inappropriate positioning of rights, economic exclusion. We have headers as such as cultural and economic exploitation, highly ventilated in this statement. No, the fact that there's no reparatory justice framework, including government's hurricane relief efforts. And I want to pinpoint that because while we talk about internal reparation for the community who suffered in the Coral Garden, the unfortunate Coral Garden massacre, there is no broad-based enabling or affirmative action through law, which is a requirement. If you look at all the reparatory justice, transitional justice, which is an area that I have delved into in my career, you will see that when a population is marginalized and disenfranchised, what you need to do is to embolden the structure so you can have equity. When the Hurricane Melissa happened, I was part of the relief telethon, webathon, right? I went and I supported it and I even made a post about it. We needed direct access to certain things given the dietary needs, which a statement outlined and those things that would separate the Rastafari community in a way to show their vulnerability. These are things that the government of any day, coming out of the historical past that we've had, both slavery and then the internal historical past that a country would have allowed to happen to their people, should have been taken into consideration. So that's the main one for me.
I think the statement from the RMO is one that is a critical statement at this time. I think that the minister, and not just the Ministry of Culture, because this also goes to the Ministry of Finance, Justice,
Social Development.
Right. To say, so here you have a response, it's obfuscation, I'm using Donnie's word, from the minister already immediately on the heels of St. Kitts making this momentous change to the law to say that Jamaica did that already. But what we're hearing from the RMO, which is a Rastafari Mansions and organization, and what we're hearing from an attorney at law, human rights attorney at law, in the studio with us, Natisha, is that that is false. The statement, and if you read that line again, I don't know if you can find it, Nat, where the RMO is saying that this response from the ministry and from the minister is false.
It says, and carried it, the RMO rejects and refutes the Jamaica government's recent claim that Rastafari has already been provided meaningful recognition for Rastafari within its legal and constitutional framework, a claim which came in response to St. Kitts' recent declaration of legislation advances in their country. Jamaica's claim of regional leadership in legislative protection of Rastafari rights is false.
Minister Grange, this is from the Rastafari Mansions and Organization. This is a coalition of Rastafari in Jamaica. So, I don't know. They are saying it is false. I felt, having covered this thing from the beginning, from the outset, that something was off with the minister's response, but something was off with my friend Bert's response. I just wasn't sure. But here we are now. The RMO is saying it is false. A human rights attorney, Natisha, is saying it is false. And I really do think it is false.
Well, I for one, have never heard
and
you
history
say...
saying it is false.
Exactly, Natisha. I've never heard in this program you saying what apparently now the Minister Grange is saying.
No, and we have covered Rastafari extensively.
Yes, you have.
As a matter of fact, and I go back to Fox, because when it happened, there was there was something happened, which was to recognize Rastafari faith in law. But I remember my coverage of this, which was to say, why just one group? That was my coverage,
Exactly.
Why just one group?
Right.
And I had, tons of interviews on that.
My sister.
Yes.
Let me broaden this discussion a little bit.
All right, we're out of time, but go ahead and broaden. Yes.
No, broaden in
Yes.
the sense of
Yes.
just to say this, to tie up everything.
Yes.
When I was a fellow with the United Nations for people of African descent,
Yes.
we got some training and we were told to write a sample proposal to the working group on people of African descent. You could choose any topic.
I remember
that. You
that,
need.
yeah. Yes.
So I'm locating everything I'm saying in this.
Yes.
You could choose any topic because we wanted to see how the working group would work for us if we have a claim. At that time, there was the case of the child that was locked out of school.
Yes.
And the utterances from the stakeholders and stuff. And I wanted, as a learning fellow, to understand how the mechanism could work for a people who are from a predominantly black population that can't talk about black and white issues. Bear with me. Now, what I did as my test case was that very case, but changed the names.
Yes.
I used the actual legislations, like the Education Act. I use all of the things in real life, except the name of the case, and gave it different defendants, different claimants.
Yeah.
And I wrote that as my test case, and I went in front of the person, and they said this is a prime case that could be written up to the working group. Let me tell you what my submission fell on. It was that one, and I'm being very clear this morning because I've had enough.
I'm just going to ask our next guest, who is Mark Malava, president of the JTA, to stand by. Mark, the whole we are friend, hold on there, stand by for us, please. That's why Natisa is laughing.
I didn't know that he was your next guest.
Yeah, my next guest. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
But bear with me, and I'm sorry, Malava.
Yeah.
But I'm saying this to say, when I looked at the current legislative framing in the country and the constitution at the time, what we recognized was this. The Jamaican constitution, up to today, does not have a broad clause to explain the different types of racial discrimination. There's a ground for race. Article 1 of the third has a broad, because I have to go to school. Article 1 of the Convention on the Elimination for Racial Discrimination has about 5 areas of racial discrimination, of broadened definition, right? Jamaica has 3 when they talk about race. The third has written to Jamaica, whether in the periodic review, whether in their, the UN has written to Jamaica, whether in their periodic review, and the third has written to Jamaica over and over. I've read at least about 10 things to Jamaica to say, we're asking you as a country to broaden your to actually give a definition for racial discrimination and broaden it to take into consideration direct and indirect racial discrimination. Let me tell you what the implication of that is, or the benefit to that. If the case with the child, whether the child is a Rastafari child or just a child wearing bantu knots or locks, if that child was locked out of school based on their African feature, then we don't have to go under the section on the religion to bring a claim, because it would be racial discrimination. If we had a broader definition in our constitution, we wouldn't have to hopscotch and forum seek.
Yes.
And so right there, I'm saying,
that
if
alone,
we want to pretend that we're doing work, we can just take up a recommendation and run with it, though.
Yes.
Go broaden the definition, put a resolution somewhere in our parliament. And I'm saying it's as simple as that. Why I'm so annoyed at these conversations that we can remedy the very case.
We're going to have to... let me finish the sentence, and we do have to ask you to come back to look at that further.
I think I'm saying the very case that I'm referring right now was a case taken up by some of these attorneys on the ground that I wrote to the third. We have not yet gone to the third, by the way, or the working group about any of these cases. Then it's left at the level, here so, and done.
All right. there's so much work to do, and I want to, Natisi, I hope you're able to come back, because I really want to continue the conversation. Whether you're able to come in studio or we do this by Zoom, to continue this conversation. We are now moving into discussion on race in Jamaica, and this is a discussion that we're going to have centered within Rastafari case studies. Natisia Bahad Singh, thank you so much, my sister.
Thank you for having me, and nice to see you on audit.
Yes, noted.
Wonderful.
Nice
Thank
to see you too.
Natisha.
A quick break,
Blessings.
and we'll be right back with much more. Station there with Natisia.
Very.
Yeah.
And there's so many questions again that I have, but well.
Who do we have next, Aldous?
Oh, you
Who do you have on your running order?
Yes, you have the JTA president, Mark Malaver.
Yeah.
I think he's waiting already.
Okay, well, our apologies to Mark. We're coming to you late, but see who make you late there, Natisia. But seriously, Mark has been, he's the JTA president. He's been in the public sphere talking about the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, how this has affected schools, and the fact that so many schools are still being used as shelters. The conversation has gone into all different directions, but for me the main story remains: why do we have schools still being used as shelters? How is this affecting our children, and where do we go from here? Mark, are you there? All right, we're not seeing or hearing Mark, but you did. Are you seeing him?
I'm not. No, I'm seeing you.
Right. Yeah, I'm right there. 8 o'clock. But I don't know if you have eyes on the conversation.
I've been reading up on it and noticing that it's the case, and this means that children are only getting half of their education right now because
If so much.
yes,
If
it's so much.
Yeah.
And all kinds of atrocities going on as well in those
Right.
schools.
So and this is the thing is that it's gone off in that direction, and I'm thinking, but you would have known. I mean, we did a whole series of interventions in the mid 2000s called Write It and Write It, Making Literacy IRE, which is to WRITE it and RIGHT it, Making Literacy IRE
Right.
FM.
Yes.
And that was something we partnered with the Money College, with Paulette Ferreira, with and kind of broaden it out to high schools and primary schools across different regions. And one of the recurring themes, teachers were telling us this, students were telling us this, that it was that whether it is students or adults, people were having sex in front of students.
Exactly.
And they were doing this in the auditoriums. They were doing this in the classrooms. They were doing this, and this is one of the reasons why we intervened.
And what was this? At all times of day?
And yes, this was, and this is why we intervened.
Right.
I brought this to Carl Young at the time, the chairman of IRFM, managing director. I also carried, I think, Paulette Ferreira, and we sat and spoke this through with him to say, we have a responsibility to create a better nation as a radio station. Because I know media is not necessarily seen in that way by a lot of people, but this is how I conceptualize media.
Well, IRFM has always had that role of education and uplifting the people.
Social interventions.
Yes.
And so this is how we kind of rolled out the program, the project. So for me, it is not news, because it wasn't really, it wasn't dealt with.
Right.
All those years. And we're still getting that. Teachers can tell you this. You don't need to be rinsing this in the public. Teachers can tell you that this is happening, whether it is adults or students.
But who's letting it happen?
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing.
You know, all these things tying together yet again, Cabo,
Yes.
because
Yes.
if this is the standard in Jamaica of what we consider to be normal, can we then go ahead and blame young people for having no ambition, no vision in life? No, we can't, because we're giving them worst of the worst.
That's it. I mean, how did we get to this place where we are?
I keep asking that question, you know.
And then to be making this a big issue. It's a massive issue, but it's not directly related to the hurricane.
No,
No. It's an ongoing thing.
That's what I'm saying. If we normalize all this kind
Right.
of thing going on.
So and then you're distracted from the major thing, which is to make the schools totally available for teaching. Do we have Mark? Because I'm not seeing him or hearing him. Oh, Mark?
Yes, I am here.
Oh, I had no idea. My apologies. Yeah, Mark Malava, president of the JTA, the Jamaica Teachers Association. Lots in the news, Mark, and you have also put out a press release since then, I think. Let me talk to us first about what the major issue is regarding the use of schools as shelter after Hurricane Melissa.
Okay, so fundamentally, we recognize that in any sort of natural disaster, given the fact that schools are proliferated across the island, along with churches, these two facilities are going to be the primary places of choice and in some instance necessity during a natural disaster. Because of how it is proliferated. But it was never designed to be a sort of long-term facility for shelteries. Schools were never designed for that. And what we found in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, for example, when you went into November, schools where there was a push to restart schools. It was inconvenient at the very least to be having shelteries and students and teachers within the same facilities. It went on for a number of months, and what you found was that the first group that jumped out on the matter in terms of raising very strident concerns was the National Prefect Association, the NSSC. Yeah,
Student
they were the first. The student body was the first group to raise some strong concerns based on what they were picking up on the ground in some of these shelter facilities. We did a tour. The JTA went in and we did a tour of a number of the facilities. We wrote to the ministry and we outlined those concerns to the Ministry of Education. Took a while for them to respond, but they subsequently responded. And when we responded to that, we say, it does not remove the issue in terms of what these concerns are. So what are some of these concerns? One, you have schools were created to be controlled spaces where at a given time of the day, the interaction is primarily between the student and the teacher.
Yeah.
That was all. Even if a parent comes in, it's still very much a controlled space. Yeah. That level of interaction is undermined in a very serious way when it is that you have shelteries on the compound.
Yeah.
When we went into a school, for example, we saw, shelteries just milling around, clothes lying over there, or sort of clothes on the line, that sort of thing. It looked.
Oh, that's disruptive. No matter how you look at that.
Yeah, it looked bad.
Thank you.
Subsequent to that, you started to hear about vulgar behavior, allegedly. Let me use that word, vulgar behavior. And then coming out of order that you start to hear reports of alleged, and let me underline it, alleged inappropriate sexual behavior between adults who are located on the compound.
Hold for me. I'm going to pick up from there when we come back. I do have to go to a quick break, so hold the line for me, Mark. Let me just. Go ahead.
When you start to hear these reports coming out of the schools.
Yes, go ahead.
And what I will say is this: the student body. It was not by accident that they framed their concerns in the way that they did in the public space. It's not by accident. They framed it in a particular way, raising issues about safety, security, that sort of thing. And if you are able to read between the lines, you got clearly what they were saying without saying it.
All right, hold the line for me. Let me take a quick break and come right back. That's a whole on thing.
We'll be continue talking to the JTA president, Jamaican Teachers Association President Mark Malaver, talking to us about the schools that are still being used as shelters. Mark, where did we leave off?
Yeah, so I was making the point that, more and more, I was making the point that you started to get reports about certain activities that were allegedly taking place within the shelter. And bear in mind that we are now in the 6th month, and if we want to be exact, 5 months and we're approaching 3 weeks since since the passage of Hurricane Melissa. The presence of shelteries undermines learning recovery, it undermines duty of care, and it undermines safety and security for our teachers and by extension our students. It creates difficulties and challenges that quite rightly no student and no teacher ought to have been facing in the first place. Now, I understand the situation. I understand the need for compassion. These are individuals that have been displaced and they have been robbed of their dignity. Yeah? And I believe that the state had a responsibility to have taken the time to ensure that school spaces are fully restored to their main function, and simultaneously to ensure that the shelteries are relocated in a dignified
dignity.
way.
That's the point.
Does Jamaica
what are you
have
hearing?
places, though?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Does Jamaica have enough places to hold these people?
Well, what we are hearing is that, and again, I believe it's a level of short-sightedness, because the government has admitted that they did identify a particular space within a particular location for of a couple of the shelters, and they wanted to move the shelteries into those spaces, but the government is saying that the shelteries refused. And I'm saying, in all honesty, you are telling me that you could not have sat and negotiated effectively to bring in whatever persons you need to get the shelteries to understand the need for to be relocated in a particular space, and at the same time be making necessary arrangements for a more permanent structure for them. You're telling me that?
Yeah, and this is a question. So what are you hearing now? Because I think two things. I saw a response from the Minister with Responsibility saying that plans are being made now to relocate persons in another few weeks. Are you confident that that is going to happen?
Well, here's where we are. It is unfortunate that the JTA had to exert this amount of pressure on the government for a deadline. We should have gotten this deadline long ago. What I found interesting as well was that the National Parent Teachers Association of Jamaica came out and they also indicated that we were getting certain reports as well. Yeah.
Which is interesting because there's such a serious pushback on this, and I hear you this morning saying allegedly, in terms of whether or not there were inappropriate behavior, including sex acts, that students are able to witness. You're saying allegedly now, and the reason for that is why?
No, I'm saying allegedly because you get the reports. And in getting the reports, there's a process in terms of investigation.
Okay.
Yeah. And, from where I sit, I have passed on all information to the relevant body, like I have at my disposal.
The minister said she didn't get that information. What's your response to that, Mark?
Well, I can't say what the minister says she should get from what she don't get. What I know is that I would have had a discussion with the minister, and I raised the fact that we were getting reports that if those reports were true, it violates the Child Care and Protection Act. Okay?
And what was the minister's response?
The minister's response was essentially to tell them that they should go and report both matters to the police. But the minister seems to have one version of the interaction or the conversation between me and her, and I have what I know to have transpired between that conversation between myself and the minister of education at the time.
And as egregious as this is, there is the immediacy and the urgency to make the spaces available for students for all the reasons that you laid out just now, and more.
And more. Because again, in that space, no, especially in our primary schools. I think far more of our primary schools are shelters than high schools.
Yes.
And especially for our primary schools. Now, we know how students are. They're frisky, bad. Yeah. Especially these little boys. You have them at your foot. Remember, a teacher has like 20, 30 of them in them. Oh. You have one at your foot, and by the time you blink, a boy is missing, and him gone under a railing, him gone under a barrier to go and see out of curiosity what is happening around a particular space. If anything happens to that boy, the teacher is going to be held accountable. You think it's a shelter is?
Yeah.
So, and that is what we wanted the government to understand, that notwithstanding everything, the safety and security of our students and our teachers must be paramount in our minds.
There are safety issues here, serious safety issues. I'm going to give you just 30 seconds to make a final statement, because we're totally out of time.
We are happy. We acknowledge the May 8th deadline from the government with respect to removal of the shelters from the compound. It's unfortunate that we had to be, loading up certain things, for want of a better word, to get to this point. But we acknowledge it. We are not comfortable, because we think that the timeline should have been much shorter. But we intend to hold the government accountable for this timeline, because accountability is not a one-way street.
Yeah, I do think so too. Thank you so much, Mark Malava, JTA President. Thank you for the work that you continue to do, and how strident you are to get the rights of students recognized. Thank you so much, my brother. Mark.
Mind of the people. Speak to the mind of the people. Speak truth.
Mesdames, Mesdemoiselles et Messieurs, bonsoir. L'un des plus grands...
All right, you're inside of the Africa Forum. This is Running Africa, and my very special guest co-host this morning is Aldith Hunker, and in a little while we'll be speaking to my very special guest who has been in studio. She's been with us all morning, and we're going to be talking to her in a little while. Dr. Esther Figueroa, looking at what is called the resource curse. We're looking at the power extraction and resources. I think that's basically what it boils down to. So we're going to be having a discussion with my sister, Dr. Esther Figueroa, in a little while. Let me just quickly tell you about this. The Inner City Dub, Roots Rockers Reggae Dub Session, recalling Techi, Chief Techi, who you call Taki sometimes. Many battles won, still the war continues. And this will feature Jarain, Aisha Bell, Jabooks, call Angola, reasoning by Stephen Golding, and special guest DJ Ibe Lion, DJ Steamers at the control. It's going to be tomorrow, because tomorrow it's what day? The 13th, isn't it?
The 13th.
It's going to be Monday the 13th at 7 p.m. to midnight. It's going to be at Nation Lounge. iNation is doing really some great things there at Nation Lounge. This is at 2 Milk Lane, Queensbridge, Spanish Town, West Kingston. Admission is Love and Light.
Love and light.
We just love that.
Aye, we do, yes.
Forward and full joy. Forward and full joy. And it is in recalling Chief Techi. Many battles won, still the war continues. And Jabooks is going to be there.
Oh.
That's a big something. Big something that Jabooks is going to be there.
Will you be going?
I was scheduled to, but I'm not able to. It's in Kingston, as you know, West Kingston. And we're all the way where we are. And so I won't be able to make it, but I'm there in spirit, iNation. And I've been having conversations with iNation, really wanted to participate, but it just never gel. But next time, just tell me earlier, iNation, and we're good. We're driving to Kingston and come check it out. So this looks good for Monday. For tomorrow, 7 o'clock at Nation Lounge. Remember, me tell you, Jabooks will be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. It's now 8:39. And our next guest coming up now is
environmentalist and filmmaker, Dr. Esther Figueroa, who I've heard so many times on your program, and I finally get to meet her.
Yes. Sister of my heart. I just like the sisterhood this morning, really, that my sisters are all in Ocho in studio and ready and waiting. Esther is an environmentalist, as you said, and she's a filmmaker. She's so much more than that. She's also a linguist. Esther deliberately shortened her bio this morning, but that's fine.
Sorry about that, Esther.
Yeah. No, she did it, I'm sure. All right. So we're going to be talking with Dr. Esther Figueroa. She's joining us. She is in Studio B. She's in Ocho and you just saw her on screen just now. Greetings again, our beloved sister, Dr. Esther Figueroa.
Greetings and thank you, Cabo. It's been so long and I'm usually on the phone. This is very strange.
Yes, and the last time I think that you were actually in the studio, you were in the booth.
Yes.
But here you are now. We created Studio B especially for you, actually.
Yeah, man, you're getting so fancy.
Isn't it though? Isn't it though?
No, man, but I'm very grateful to be here and for all your listeners and all the work you do. And I just wanted... It's been quite a range of conversation. I mean, you start with Melania.
I'm telling you, we went there, Esther. We went there. May we ask the ancestors for forgiveness? Yeah.
I just wanted to really big up and reinforce what our great Rasta heritage and human rights lawyer Natisha was saying, because I think that she's really pointing out the performativity, hypocrisy, and gaslighting that our government likes to do about everything. And certainly about the issues that we're going to talk about now, which is the extractive industries in Jamaica. Because no matter what you say, they're always telling you something else. So, yeah, let's get to it. We have a lot to cover.
Yeah, we do have a lot to cover. And one of the terms that you have brought to my attention, I think we've heard it before, but not to the extent of stopping to take stock of it, which is this term that is thrown out there, resource curse or the resource curse. When we say resource curse, what are we talking about, Esther?
Right. Well, it's quite an old term and has to do with what's called the paradox of plenty. And the reason I wanted to frame what we're talking about today in terms of the resource curse is because we're going to talk about the oil and gas exploration that's happening in Jamaica right now, and actually throughout the Caribbean, because we've had this boom in oil and gas extraction. as our next and latest savior, while at the same time we're, talking about, we just experienced the horrendous hurricane, which is fueled partially by oil and gas fossil fuel usages over this long time. And then I just want to mention deep sea mining, which is another extractive industry that the government of Jamaica is involved with. And then just give my favorite topic, of course, which is defending Coptic country, and an update about what's happening with our efforts to defend Coptic country and the whole problems of the aluminum industry in Jamaica as an extractive industry.
Let's go to the big news that is, you and I, we've been discussing this from time to time, because this is not the first time that we're hearing that Jamaica have found oil and there might be mining and so on. You have always issued a cautious warning, a little bit more than cautious, beyond cautious, about what that might look like for Jamaica. Lots of excitement around this. Your own thinking and what might be some of the environmental challenges, but other challenges that Jamaica might face as a result of what we seem to be going at now and after, which is mining again.
Right. So why it's called a resource curse is because if you check out places all across the world, right, that have so-called natural resources that imperial, colonial, and otherwise powers and corporations want, what happens, right? You have the promise of wealth, you have the promise of so-called development, and what happens is actually the opposite, okay? So I'll give you an example of Nigeria, right? We all know about shell and oil in Nigeria, and my parents lived there in the 70s, and when I visited them, the naira, which was the Nigerian currency, was one of the strongest in the world, right? Now, over 60% of Nigerians live in what is called poverty. You and I have had this discussion over what is poverty and what is not poverty, okay? And how it's measured. But the point is that these notions of what is rich and what we should worship, right, are problematic. We just had the US actually capture the head of Venezuela and capture, right, their oil and their so-called wealth, including their gold, okay, which is being held in London and other places, all right? So with the resource curses, we keep thinking that when we do have something like oil, right, that is going to lead not just to the nation being wealthy, but the citizens being wealthy. And what happens instead is you have extreme economic volatile economics, right? Boom, bust. You have sudden inflation, which is what's happening in Ghana right now with their oil thing. You have weakened institutions and corruption, and actually you have lesser growth, all right? And you have collapse, all right? So now we're all excited because we actually have, again, this is not new. We've had people looking for oil and in Jamaican waters since the 80s, all right?
Yes.
But with the new technology, all right, what is happening is that sites that were known to have oil and gas, but the technology either couldn't reach it or it wasn't economically viable, right? So right now we have an interesting company called United Oil and Gas, which interestingly, out of Britain, only formed in 2015. Which I find very interesting.
Why?
Because that is not very long ago to be a company. And what did they do? They did something which is called farm in, which means they got a previous license that had belonged to Tulla, which was the entity that was doing the previous exploration, and that was in 2017. They've gotten a license to over 32,000 kilometers of Jamaican waters, okay? And this includes the Pedro Bank, which is our largest fishers. But the Pedro Keys is also very important because that's what allows Jamaica to be considered an archipelago, and that allows us to have a larger exclusive economic zone than we would have had with just the mainland. All right. So
Do we know who they are? I'm sorry to interrupt that, but who we know who the principals are? Are they connected back to Jamaica, like we see happening in Ghana right now?
I don't know who the principals are. I know it's a British company. I know it's interesting that they formed so recently, and that one of their first actions was to get the license from Tulla. Okay. So yeah, I haven't looked into who owns what, but they are quite positive about what they're finding. And I'm sure that Jamaicans are probably quite excited. I'm going to explain what some of the risks are.
Yes.
By reading to you part of a letter that Teresa Rodriguez Moody, head of JET, Jamaica Environment Trust, has sent to all the important government officials. And she talks about, one, the legal exposure of exploration and development activities may expose Jamaica to litigation, okay? This is something you have to think about, all right? Jamaica will not own this oil and gas, all right? The Jamaican citizens will not own this oil and gas, but we are exposed to litigation, all right? Not just because of oil spills and things of that, but because the Jamaican government has signed on to international agreements, okay? Having to do with everything from human rights to climate change, okay? So under international law, including proceedings before international courts and tribunals, and claims advanced in national and regional courts by civil society actions, communities, and other stakeholders, as they hold the state accountable and invoke human rights obligations, okay? And there are many, I won't read out to you all the different areas that could be. Another thing is reputational impact. As a climate vulnerable nation, Jamaica's credibility in international negotiations and efforts to benefit from climate justice initiatives, including the Fund for Responding to Loss and Damage. Remember that Jamaica is always going out internationally and saying that we want climate justice, we want climate reparations.
As a matter of fact, we have that happening right now. There's so much being drawn down with Samuda as the head of the...
Absolutely, right? At the same time, we are engaging in an industry that has caused this. Another thing is economic risk. Oil and gas exploration could lock Jamaica into costly investments and contracts that will lose value as global markets shift towards renewables, leaving us with stranded assets and missed opportunities for sustainable growth. And we need to think of the fact that from the 70s, okay, people were pushing that we go to renewables, that we do solar, for example, okay? And we completely missed that, all right?
Yes.
Another thing is, of course, environmental risk. Oil and gas exploration in the marine environment comes with significant impacts, okay? That's fairly obvious. And that has to do with, of course, our fisheries, because that's where the fisheries are. It's our last remaining fishery, as well as, of course, tourism. If you have an oil spill, where you think it's going? And, of course, social and cultural impacts, the impact on traditional socioeconomic and cultural activities. But more importantly, all right, if the same way them decide, say, they don't need to come and take over Jamaica the way they did Venezuela, because Venezuela had, nationalized industry. We're not nationalizing industry. But it will certainly lead us to even more being a client state of the U.S.
Right. Reminding us of Guyana. Well, let me take a quick break and come back.
Yeah.
There's a lot of jubilation on the island. I'm seeing it on the social media. People are pretty happy about this, especially with the discussions that are ongoing now. But let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with much more. Jamaica is about to embark upon mining. I think they probably start already.
Yeah.
But so we're looking at this through climate justice lens. So we're looking at this through just, basic human rights. And we hear that Jamaica might even be facing litigation as a result of going down this road. But you had a comment.
I do, because every time a country like Jamaica in these regions finds oil, and there's a lot of oil and gas here, there is that jubilation that you talk about. Yet we hear Esther saying, this is not going to profit any Jamaicans. It's not even Jamaicans' oil. Or whose is it, Esther? And why is it that every country that finds oil and gas has to just, relinquish it to somebody else?
Well, you're hearing me, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Well, this is a British company, which is curious. Well, it's not curious.
The
it's
company
just-
that found it is what you're saying.
Yes,
Mhm.
this is the previous company that they got the license from is British as well. So this is it's not a U.S. company, but it's a British company. So it's a continuity of our colonial, our previous colonial relationship.
Yeah.
And our current colonial relationship. Why? So say Jamaica was to control it, okay? Say it was nationalized and we had the oil and gas. What would we do with it exactly?
Well, sell it to the people who want it.
Well, so here we are, an island that is extremely vulnerable, right? To the impacts of the climate catastrophe, which we just are still experiencing because there's still people living under tarpaulin and have no roof and don't know where the food coming from, et cetera, while we pretend that everything is normal and that we are resilient people and we don't have to worry. So you have to first question why we would want to promote oil and gas when it is against our interests as a people, as an island, and as a region.
That's
okay?
that's the point I actually wanted to make with you. That this excitement to me in this day and age where we're trying to curb fossil fuels, at least we say that we do.
Well, we don't see so.
Right.
So we. It's interesting. Again, they were actual advocates for solar and other renewables decades ago in Jamaica.
I know,
right?
I was one of them.
Well, there you go. So, and I'm talking also not just activists and whatnot. I'm talking people in corporations as well, all right? So we've made different, why have we made different decisions? We've made different decisions because we have worshipped a model of development, which is basically South Florida. Okay? We want to be South Florida. I do not want to be South Florida. Okay?
Yeah.
So right now, people in Portland are going to have their land taken away from them to create the highway. Okay? Everything about Jamaica worships the automobile. Okay? We don't even build bike lanes when we create new highways or new roads. We worship the automobile. And what are we worshiping is the burning of fossil fuels, the mining, the extraction, because it requires aluminum, plastics, all these different minerals, et cetera, et cetera. So we are willing to basically rape the planet and the future generations to come to have a form of development that we have bought into because it has been promoted to us and it suits our sensibilities.
And this global exploitation, what can we learn? You mentioned Nigeria earlier. So much poverty, and yet so much wealth when you talk about the minerals and oil and the rest of it. Walter Rodney, I think, is critical how Europe underdeveloped Africa. I mean, that hasn't really changed in terms of that model of exploitation. How does Jamaica fit into that wider picture of the Walter Rodney theory of underdevelopment with being resource rich?
Yeah, exactly. Excuse me. And I was a child on campus when back to the previous statements about JLP versus PNP and all of that. I grew up during the time in the 60s under Hugh Shearer government when books with the word black in it were banned. Okay. I was on campus as a child when the campus was closed and and the soldiers surrounded us, okay, because of Walter Rodney and the support for Rodney and the whole Black Power movement in Jamaica at that time. So Rodney and you can see that in the same. He's giving the whole so-called resource curse with a colonial explanation, right? Which is what we're in. Our very reason why we exist as an entity for the imperialist world was extractivism, period, end. Extract people, extract the soil,
Minerals.
extract the water, extract the trees, extract everything for the benefit of somewhere else. And then miseducate you to think that they are superior, their civilization is superior, and that we're supposed to follow back at them, all right?
And you see this playing out in this instance, Esther. We're agreeing with you on it. There's also deep sea mining
Yes.
that's ongoing, I think, in Jamaica right now. We've had some conversations about that also. But why is it that we are not able to, in a similar way with the cockpit country, I think there's some wins there. But why is it such a difficult struggle to get government, it doesn't matter which one, to view this kind of so-called development through the lens of how this can work against the people of Jamaica, whether it's environmentally, whether it's economically? Why is it so difficult?
Because there's a difference between what benefits a government and what benefits the people, okay? And so the government likes to equate the two, all right? So just to let people know again about deep sea mining, Jamaica is a state sponsor of deep sea mining. What that means is the way it's set up in the system, the international system, is that states sponsor companies that then can do deep sea mining anywhere in the world. And it's not happening around here because it's happening in Oceania, in the Pacific, in those sorts of places. And Jamaica is the host of the International Seabed Authority, which is a quasi-UN entity that is supposed to set up the international framework monitoring and licensing of deep sea mining. What has happened is this has completely collapsed. So for example, the US under Trump is just making arrangements with different countries around the world and doing, with Tonga and different places in Oceania and doing deep sea mining as they feel. So again, as you mentioned about the UN, what is the purpose and does the UN have any application except us pretending that people are in polite meetings, pretending that states are all equal when we're not all equal? So, twice a year, people come to Jamaica, to the Seabed Authority. They have these endless, slow-moving, protocol-inspired discussions about seabed mining. Meanwhile, corporations and governments are just doing whatever they want in their own economic zones. And that is what's happening in that moving forward.
And we see so much of that just across this whole conversation of climate and the environment, where people just fly them jet all over, up and down, and then they pay a fee. And, and then they go to COP 22 or 23 or whatever number they give.
They go to Davos.
Yeah, and Davos.
They go to Davos, yes, and lecture the world. And, So for cockpit country and what is happening there is that we've had two ongoing constitutional cases. We have two cases in the Supreme Court. And let me just tell you that I can't comment in detail on them because they continue to be ongoing. They've been delayed by years. They drag on and on and on. But let me just tell you that sitting in the Supreme Court listening to these cases has been one of the most depressing things I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
And I have done many depressing things. Because the whole question of justice is just shocking. So these cases, one was brought by STEA, Hugh Dixon, with the Southern Trelawney Environmental what's it, association or authority? I can, sorry,
Agency, I
sorry,
think.
Hugh, agency.
Yeah.
I can never
I
get
think,
it straight.
Good morning, Hugh Dixon. Yeah.
Hi, Hugh. And one of the reasons was to try and stop Special Mining Lease 173 from being given, and that license will move bauxite mining into Trelawney for the first time in Jamaican history. What has happened is that case was delayed, but the main thing was that this is a constitutional case. In other words, it is saying that bauxite mining breaches the fundamental constitutional rights of Jamaican citizens under our actual constitution. And instead of stopping the mining while the case was being heard, they allow the mining and delay the case, delaying the case, delaying the case, delaying the case. And St. Anne is almost completely mined out. Then there's another case, which is brought by claimants from all the different mining leases in St. Anne because of their health impacts, their economic impacts. Some of the claimants have died, etc., etc. This case, is again the same constitutional rights: the right to a healthy environment, the right to our ecological heritage, the right to life, the right to live anywhere you want in Jamaica, the right to live without degradation and insult, etc., etc. Our absolute rights guaranteed, except they're not guaranteed. If people don't realize, in Jamaica, all our rights are not guaranteed. They are provisional rights. So these cases are going on. I'm going to
come back to the case, but pause a minute on what you just said, which is the rights are not guaranteed. They are provisional rights. Because sometimes we talk a loud talk that these rights are guaranteed, and we fight with that in mind. But you're saying they're provisional.
Yes, unfortunately, even, it's right there. It's in the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms, different laws that you can look at. And we proceed because we take law, we go to court. We advocate, we demonstrate, we petition, we do all these things because supposedly we have these rights. But any of these rights are based on, yes, you have that right, but not quite, because maybe it's trumped by some other law, right?
Yes, you've got mineral in the ground, and we have to go dig for it. You have right only to the surface. Hold a sec, Esther. Let me just take a quick break. Let me ask Peter to just do this one for me quickly. We are having a chat with Dr. Esther Figueroa. Yes, Peter, go ahead. Too. All right, Esther. This thing of rights, my sister Esther. You every time you come to this space, you really lay some serious things on us. I remember that time when you told us we didn't even have the right to the land because of what they could do, and Jamaica quaked on that. But this is basically what it is, where other rights trump your own, what you think is your own basic human rights. So what rights do we have?
I'm not sure, because also part of the provisionality is that, for example, a minister, right? So you have a right, but a minister of government can, let's say, for example, with Cockpit Country, we have, under the Mining Act, we have been able to have an area, meaning through the government proclamation, an area set aside in Cockpit Country called the Cockpit Country Protected Area. And that was because under the Mining Act, the Commissioner of Land or the minister can set aside the land, right? But they can also unset aside the land, right?
Unset aside, I love that. In other words, they can thief it.
So for for every legal thing that there is an exception, right? The exception is maybe it's a state secret, so we can't know. Maybe maybe the exception is that the land actually belongs to King Charles because that's who is the crown, right?
And this becomes, this is critical, right? Because even when we talk about constitutional reform, this is something that seems to be totally off the table right now. The other day there was a whole lot of excitement around it, never happened. And even if you don't go constitutional reform, which you need to go, but to have as the head of state the monarchy of England still, especially with what it's going through now, without even blinking on that, it boggles the mind. So the Constitution doesn't necessarily guarantee the rights, your rights, or the rights that you think you have, because there's always something trumping that.
Trumping.
All it says trumping, but it's true. There's always something. But so then. You see me, when you see me put my hand, I came, boy, you must know. So where does that leave us? Because the struggle, as you spoke just now, Esther, I've been thinking, how long have we been fighting for our rights as it relates to cockpit country, to the beaches, to land ownership? And it seems, and cases are in court, and they take years before they go through the system. And so how does this work then?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you and I are getting old in this thing.
Well, the question we need to ask is, does it even make any difference? Are all of us just going through the motions because we feel it, but nobody cares what we the people actually want?
Well, the thing is...
That's a good question.
Well, the thing is, we've been told that certain actions would lead to, you're told,
results.
Right, would really lead to certain kinds of transformations. But structurally, right, how do you change huge colonial structures whereby we've been acting under the fantasy, right? We say crown lands as if
it's a normal thing to say in this day.
But as if crown lands belong to the government of Jamaica. I mean, my question is ultimately, fundamentally, to every legal mind in Jamaica, right? Especially every constitutional lawyer. I ask, who is the crown? Right? And we are under the illusion that the crown is the government of Jamaica. The crown is the King of England. So clearly we need, you mentioned the Constitution, we need absolute structural change, right? And that structural change has to first deal with the basic, fundamental fact that Jamaica is a racist, exclusionary, class-based, status-based society that does not have the good, the care, the benefit, and the love of the people in mind. So there are two options. One option is to create those relationships and those ways of being together in alternative spaces. In other words, we create our own land trusts, our own ways of being. We occupy the beaches. We do what we can do amongst ourselves to care for each other and love each other and create alternatives. And then, if you're willing to work to change the structures, okay, then you have to work to change the Constitution and the laws and the way the people think and what they believe in and the value systems, right?
So in other words, the template that our ancestors used who freed themselves from slavery is a template we have to work with.
Correct.
But is the fighting spirit still there? This is what we've been talking about all morning, even with Natisha. Is the fighting spirit in Jamaica still there?
Well, each individual has to know within themselves what their spirit is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that we don't care. I don't believe that we're apathetic. I don't believe all those things. I think that people are beaten down by the brutality and generational trauma and all those
structural
things.
violence,
Hopelessness.
Yes, violence, structural violence every day. But I think that people also have within them the capacity. And so what enables and nurtures that capacity is that we need to, as I was saying to Kabu, I love her signature on her phone because, you want to say it, Kabu?
Slavery is not African history. Slavery is an interruption of African history.
So if we can stop from this notion that our lives and our history, our identity, our beings began at the moment of European conquest and, all that came with it, that is a tiny sliver of history. We are living it, okay?
Yes.
So that is all that we know.
Mm-hmm.
When and where we enter.
When and where we enter.
To quote the author, yeah.
Right, right? So we need to stop starting from that point,
Yeah.
and we need to refuse that history and that point. It's not that we deny it. We don't deny it, we refuse it.
Yeah, to reject the definition
We
that comes
reject
with
it.
that.
We
Yes.
reject it, we refuse it, and we relive in livity. We relive. Okay?
Yes, yes.
Right? So all of that allows us to have the energy from the ancestors and being ancestors going forward, right? To do things differently. And it's very, very difficult, but it has to be within the self first as a communal self, right?
Yes.
I think on an individual level, I'm seeing a lot of what you're saying, Esther. I think it's the group mentality that needs a boost.
Well, yeah, and so, what if, all right, well, this is going to be difficult, all right. What are the kind of cultural, organizational things available to most people in Jamaica? Evangelical Christianity, politics,
Tribal politics.
the worship of material consumer capitalism, okay? We have to engender other ways of being that give life.
So more
life.
now than ever.
Yes, so we reach the now more than
Yes,
ever.
more now than ever. Which I know, and you can talk a bit to that if you are able to now to the campaign that is coming up this more. But I think it fits right here. More now than ever. What do we need to do?
Yes, so going back to Teresa Rodriguez Moody and Jamaica Environment Trust, who I work with very closely and who do amazing work with very few resources. After the hurricane,
I'm going to interrupt you a bit.
Yeah.
My bad. Let me just take a quick break. I see Peter coming right here. So go ahead and press me, Peter. Just walking. They're listening. I really do hope so. We're talking about the Constitution. We're talking about the need for constitutional reform. And that is on the table, and Esther is about to tell us more now than ever, even as we talk about where we are in the liberation struggle, a struggle for justice, the struggle for human rights, just basic human rights. More now than ever, Esther.
Right. So Teresa and I were talking about after the hurricane, which I do not give it a name because I think it's crazy that you give hurricanes names of human beings. Anyway, humans are always reversing and the actual reality of the world, which is we are not at the pinnacle of the universe. Hurricanes are bigger than us. All right.
Yeah.
So with the whole hurricane devastation and all the efforts, or sending relief and all the different things people were trying to do, there was this sense that people were waking up in a very, which happens unfortunate with catastrophes, but you wake up certain delusions and illusions that you can live with every day that we need to get through life suddenly are stripped away, right? When you stand up there and you sleep with you sit on a chair and you hold zinc on your head, right? And when you look and you have nothing, everything you had is gone, right? And you don't know what is happening next, right? You face certain existential facts that on a normal basis we just scroll through the phone because we don't want to deal with. We're talking life and death, right? So we started to think, people were thinking about stuff, they're thinking very deeply, right? About what matters in life and what is what. And we came up with this notion of now more than ever, right? Everyone can say, now more than ever we need, now more than ever I want, right? So like now more than ever we need trees, now more than ever we need water, now more than ever we need justice, now more than ever we need whatever. And so we want to have this campaign where people can say, now more than ever, what is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? And how do we get there? So I would love if your listeners and all the ARI community and whatnot would say, and I don't know if they can call in or text you now, but now more than ever, what did I feel? Now more than ever, for yourself, now more than ever, what do you think? Now, if you had to say now more than ever, what would it be?
I thought it was you, Peter.
Yes, Peter. More now than ever, what for you?
In the meantime, now more than ever, we need a break. So let's take a quick break and then we come back. And Esther's engaging us to open the phone lines is something we want to do, but I realize that I have a technical problem, which is that everything is so far away from me. It is possible.
If you show me the button, I can operate it.
It is. It is. Well, let me take a quick break and let us see if we can do that. A quick break. We'll be right back. Calls up. We can take your calls, and if you want to send us a text, we can do that too, but we are figuring it out.
Because it's such a huge studio.
We're figuring it out, yeah. It might be a little bit difficult, but let me know if you've got calls there and we can take them. I haven't announced the numbers. I haven't taken calls in a while, and so that the number is 974-5079, 5043, 5041. Let me have the numbers, please. 61804. All right. 04? Sorry, 0352. 618-0352. And if you do 618-0352, then you're most likely to get through to all the other numbers. But if you do go through 974, then it might be a little bit more difficult. So 618-0352. The numbers to call. Khadija, let me know if you've got calls there and we'll take them up on the console. Esther is, and you, when you call, say more now than ever. More now than ever.
Now more than ever.
What do you want to see? What would you like? What do you need? What do you want for Jamaica? But start by saying more now than ever.
Now more than ever.
It's a big one, because I've been thinking about it since you said it, Esther. And, the list is so long for me.
Yeah, do you have a top one? Or is it even hard to figure out what is more now than ever for you?
Well, I just came down on Ma'at. Harmony, justice, balance, truth. Because when I looked at all of it, for me, that's what it came down to. And I said, Ma'at, Esther, is more now than ever, which is our ancient way of being,
our
systems.
Natural way of being.
Yes. What for you? All right. So I see the calls coming in. All right. Let me go to. Oh no, that's TV. All right. All right. Good.
Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
I have a caller online.
Oh, okay. That's you. All right. Go ahead and send the caller through because you just came through. All right. Go ahead and send the call through, Khadija. All right, so the lines are open. Okay, there you go, Peter. Let me pick that one up. Remember to start by saying now more than ever. Greetings.
Khadija. All right, so.
All right, turn your radio off or all the way down. You're live.
Remember to start by saying now.
Hello, turn your radio down. Turn your radio off.
All right, turn your radio.
You are listening to the radio and we have a delay.
Remember to start by saying now. Hello, turn your radio down. Turn your radio off. All right, turn your radio.
All right, this is going to be really difficult. Remember, no, that's not. The problem is that the caller is listening.
Turn your radio off.
All right, remember that when you call in, turn your radio off or turn your TV off or your computer, turn it down. Oh, we're going to get...
Turn your radio.
See, we're very patient, but that's what we're getting.
Call in, turn your radio off.
What do I do? You called in.
You know what? You can ask them to send comments on your post, and we can read them from there.
We probably are going to have to do that. So if you're on Facebook, IRFM's WhatsApp number also. We
send
can
comments on.
See it? Oh, there you go. That person is just listening still. All right, Khadija, I'm not sure what to do now, so let's see if we can disconnect this and go to another one. No, this person is not. They don't even realize that
the radio is so loud.
Yeah.
They're not hearing you.
It's just one of those things. All right, so 6180352, and we are also able to read your comments. All right. So all the way from the United Kingdom, Dawn Eaton, attorney at law. Thank you, my sister. She says, now more than ever, we need justice, kindness, equity, and love.
Exactly. Well said.
Did you hear that, Esther?
Yes.
We're not hearing Esther.
Yes,
is that me?
No,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, so sorry about that, Esther. I had you down.
No problem.
Yeah.
No,
we have a call here. So.
That was beautiful.
No, don't pick up. Just press. Yes. All right. Sorry about that, Es. We're multitasking. All right. Let me go back to the phone lines. Hello. Greetings.
Pleasant. Good morning.
To you too.
Esther.
Yes,
good morning, Miss Esther.
Morning, sir.
No more than ever. No more than ever.
Yes.
Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, yeah, man. As I was saying to my virgin Muta the other day about this land where government takes where them call it crown land. Yeah, I was listening to a lawyer and Muta program. It's a wonderful program him have there, and I tell him that him have 2 number 1 program on the radio.
Yes.
Yes, and including your program, so it would make 3 number 1 program. You can't put them give them no other number, kaboom.
Thank you, my brother. No more than ever.
No more than ever. Right now, I was listening to a lawyer and the program talking about the crown land where you have to live on that land for 60 years before you can claim it. And my little piece of independent man property now, a man can live only 12 years before him can claim it. And I see that very injustice. Why couldn't be equal? How many people gonna live 60 years, especially in this time when them have food that poison the people them and all kind of things. You know, every time I remember this thing at Kabu, I have to laugh. A man, I give you $10,000 to take an injection or a vaccination. And me I say, when you're sick, you know, find nobody come assist you to the doctor, give you like $10,000 to go to the doctor. And your heart, you know. And a man I go, give you $10,000 to go take a vaccination in which it is so that the mentality and nothing no do. Me tell them say, if me take it, me I go dead, and if me not take it, me I go dead serious. So me dead from a natural cause.
All right. No. So we hear you loud and clear. So yeah, no more than ever.
Kabu, we want this thing to reverse, and me alone, and me talk to Muta about it, and after me talk to Muta about it, you know, I hear a guy come on the program and I say, we will never live to see that happen. Look at reparation. Look how time the people are talking about reparation, and now it come to the forefront. Yes, them acknowledge it, and we expect that to carry out, me I tell you, Kabu. So we're not going to left off of this crown land. Them need to make the land available to the
All right,
people.
so
who
no
need
more
it,
than
because
ever we need
no
to,
more
we need
than
land
ever.
ownership,
No
get rid of the
more
crown
than
lands.
ever. The time has come. The
Yes.
time has come and the people must stand up and we're going to revolute. Me tell people here now, when me attack people, might
We're going to try and we hear you loud and clear, and we're going to try and get some more calls in. But thank you so much.
The
Yes,
point well
ma'am.
taken, and
Yes,
thanks
yes.
for the moment here, Kabu.
Yeah, man, you too. All right. So a few things there, and this is something that you underscored just now, Dr. Esther Figueroa, the crown land ownership in Jamaica. This is, as you said before, taken for granted. Let me take another call. Do we have another call there? I think I'm not hearing Esther.
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, okay. All right. It's gymnastics here, no, Esther, because there's so much that have to happen. So here's a call coming. We have to clear the line to take the call, and we'll figure it out. Thank you so much for showing us that we can. Let's take that. All right, let's go to the phone lines. We've been figuring out the live stream thing for a while. Yes, yeah, man, we hear you loud and clear. Now more than ever.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, morning. Now more than ever. What do we need?
Yes, morning. Good morning, Miss Kabu.
Morning. How you doing?
Yeah, yes, I'm calling, putting into the shelteries down in Westmoreland.
Mm-hmm.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. I have a relative in one of them shelter.
Yeah.
But we don't like how the interview go because you didn't ask the man the person who you were interviewing.
Mm-hmm.
Which school in specific?
He didn't say. He said it was the region. He said there's a few schools, and we didn't want to. He said that there's something with protecting people that I think is important. Now hang on there, because he talked about inappropriate behavior, and because that comes in because you're talking about inappropriate behavior, and because you're dealing with minors, we're not going to name the school. So this is why I deliberately didn't ask him the school.
Yes, but you want the police to get involved and
no, but I understand that the minister, he said he was told by the minister to say to those persons who are impacted to report this, and I think by now that this would have been reported. All right, but it's not for us as journalists to expose children, so we don't do that.
No, but you're not gonna name the children.
But if you name the school, you name the children.
No. You're not gonna find out it's John Bone or Tom so this.
Well, let me explain to you that once you name the school, you create a stigma on that school. Mm-hmm. So this is what we cannot do, and this is what we do not do. We believe in protecting students.
One of them shelter, and I just feel fed up about this. You know.
You feel what particular?
I just believe it's total lying telling. Trust me.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, that's a whole.
With some allegation to.
Oh, let me ask you. Well, within that context, now more than ever, what do we need as a nation?
Well, the people need to.
No, what you speak from your perspective. What do you need? What do you need more now than ever for Jamaica or for yourself?
I want to see the people get proper housing, you know, but
okay,
they politicize anything, you know, politicize anything.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much, and I hope that your relative who's in the shelter will get housing in short order, more now than ever. Thank you so much, my brother. All right. Esther, I turn it over to you.
No, I mean, it's a problem that was before the hurricane, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then now with the hurricane, it's huge, and it's huge on a number of different levels, right? So one is the land grabs that are going on by the government and other people.
Mm-hmm.
So the kind of catastrophic capitalism that is doing its thing.
Yeah.
But then you're dealing with ordinary people who have lost so much.
Yes.
And what is a mechanism to recover, right? What are the mechanisms for recovery? And so again, it's complicated because now more than ever you need a just society so that you can have a just recovery, right?
No, that's true.
And you don't have a just
Yes.
society. So how can you have a just recovery? So people, we have to find a way to yes, I mean, people are hurt. They're deeply hurt, deeply hurt and traumatized and disappointed because, you know, I remember watching all the social media when the planes were coming in, and it's like every organization and everybody bringing aid. Before them take the aid nowhere, you know, them have to take picture themselves bringing the aid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It turns into a spectacle.
Disaster
right?
porn.
Yes.
Let's take a quick break and come back. We're inside of the Africa Forum. This is Running Africa, and a quick break. The calls, we are understanding that there might be more calls there, but we do have to wrap this segment. Dr. Figueroa, let me just go. I have a final word on this issue because this is such a really a big one. You know, we talk. I know I see the calls coming in. All right, so we talk about you know, the resource curse. You know, I don't know about you. I do not like the word curse because it is so biblical. You know, and then it kind of turns inwards. Like you, I prefer to go where Walter Rodney went, which is to talk about global exploitation and the extent to which those who do not have resources but who have military power overpower those with resources. And then we buy into this idea that our diamonds are cursed, our minerals are cursed, our land is cursed, as opposed to looking at what you referenced earlier, that this whole colonialism and imperialism is about extracting from others to enrich oneself. How do we balance this idea of a country thinking it is a nation thinking that, you know, with resources that you're cursed, as opposed to what can I do with the resources that I have, as we see, for example, in Botswana?
Well, for me, I cannot think of the earth as a resource. You know, I can't think of nature as a resource. I can't think of because if you think of it, we've been on the earth for a very small period of time compared to, you know, the ancestral forms of mountains and soil and trees and insects and you know, all sorts of things that we look down upon. For example, we look down upon on insects. We call people insects, all right? We would die without insects, the bees and such, right? So I think we need to stop, first of all, thinking of human beings as the pinnacle of creation and realize that in terms of what actually matters and what makes our lives possible on a planetary universal level are things like minerals, things like water, things like landscapes, things like trees, things like insects, fungi, things that we don't really understand, things in the deep sea that we've never seen and we will never understand or see, right? Because of our limitations of perception and being. So we need to realize that none of what we are in the world, we are only here because of everything else. Mm-hmm. And so instead of seeing ourselves as the epitome of creation that takes from everything, we have to realize that we are actually dependent upon everything.
More now than ever.
Now more than ever.
Well said. Thank you so much, Dr. Esther Figueroa, environmentalist and filmmaker. And talking about filmmaker, Dr. Figueroa has another job to do in another 15 minutes or so. And I think I'm in the center of it. Dr. Esther, I'll join you in Studio B shortly for the next hour. Obviously, we won't be able to broadcast that live, but at some point, Esther, it will be available to what we're about to embark on will be available to the public, right?
Yes, well, first of all, there is, I've been trying to, you have to understand, I've been trying to interview Cabo forever.
For 20 years.
But no.
You know, that makes two of us.
It's so scandalous.
Part of the Safe Cockpit Country movement is that we have an archival project, and Cabo has been and IRFM have been crucial as part of the Safe Cockpit Country movement. So I'm finally going to interview her, and parts of that interview will end up in a documentary that I'm making about the Safe Cockpit Country movement, and that will, of course, be available to everybody shortly.
Once it becomes available, I'll talk about it all bit. So
yes,
stop it
now more than ever.
No more than ever. But you see how I balance the thing, though, is that we know we have to do this, and we know we're going to do it on a Sunday. And here is Esther, who has not been in the studio for so long, and we're very happy to have had her in studio with us as always. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Esther Figueroa. Just a few minutes to go before we wrap all this, and I know there are some other issues, but do you want to look back quickly before we go into what else is happening in the world?
Yes. First and foremost, I would like to say I'm loving this combination of the sisterhood in this program. It's the second time that you do this, and it's great fun.
It's actually, you know better than to say it is the second time, don't it?
Well, that I'm part of it,
okay.
I should say.
Okay, but you've been in the Netherlands, that's why.
That's true.
But we do this from time to time, as you know.
I do know that, yes. Yeah. Yes. No, but it's the sisterhood that I think it's going to have to come from the sisterhood. This change that we are talking about all morning. Mm-hmm. I'm yet again, I'm going to have to say it's going to be the sisterhood who's going to do it, because that's where real change comes from.
What about the family, Aldith? Because I always fall back on family when we have these conversations.
I know that there are many brothers who support it, but the coordination, I guess that's a female trait mostly. You can sue me over that if you wish.
I won't. It is what it is, and we're dealing with the isness of things. But the extent to which the community is needed.
Yeah.
Leadership on this, I think, as Amilcar Cabral says, each generation must discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it.
Wonderfully said.
Yes, and I think that individually it becomes first a question that we answer.
Right.
What is our purpose? What is our mission? How do we fulfill it? Can we fulfill it? And if we don't fulfill it, are we betraying it? And can we live with the betrayal of this mission?
I don't think I could.
Well, that's the thing.
But the thing is, I can't do it alone, neither can you. So
right, and this is why I say, individually when we discover the mission, when we understand the mission, then we'll find each other as we're finding each other in these spaces. Which is regardless of how long it takes, because sometimes it looks like it's really a long time, and then from the minute it started to the minute you celebrate the little gains along the way, to the point where there is a solution, and there'll have to be many solutions, I think, before we can even claim full liberation.
Right.
So
we've been talking about paradigm shift for ever.
Yeah.
But that is what it is.
Yeah.
And we're not there yet. We are still, all morning we've been talking about systems in place that are still in place, even if we think they're no longer in place. But that's what still, defines who we are as humans, defines who we are in this world.
So we're fighting the same wars over and over again. But what do you do if you do not fight?
We have to fight, but we have to also try to shift our own thinking because we're fighting the system. Okay, let me come up with a crazy idea. What if we leave the system and just go our own way? Because it's part of the system for us to follow the system. I
totally get the point you're making, because that's what Rastafari emerged out of the only indigenous response to slavery and imperialism and oppression and so on in this region is Rastafari.
And had many answers that I can live by.
Right.
And I do live by, But
Yes.
where is Rastafari now?
No, that's a very good. And this is or Ethiopia or Italy, if you ask me. But at the same, but I was talking to my sister Carita McDonald, I think 2 days ago, and we were talking about the liberation struggle and where you get weary, and what happens? How do you? And I think you asked that question at the beginning, even though it was in a different direction. Is how do you refresh yourself? How do you
reinvent?
Reinvent and revitalize yourself. Yeah. Because if your mission is what it is, then that is your mission.
Exactly.
So I think on this journey, and I'm gonna go to where Esther went just now when she talked about understanding ourselves in the wider universe as part of everything.
That is the key thing, I believe.
Right, and even that understanding for me will not allow oppression. I cannot abide or stand oppression or imperialism or colonialism or any kind of that.
But it
even if it's not to me, no. But if it's on others, then I also my purpose, I think, is also to enter that fight, to say justice for that person.
Absolutely.
Or turn down.
Yes. But the thing is, if we follow Esther's...
whose advocate are you being now?
I'm being humanity's advocate.
All right, I'll leave it to you. Okay, you go ahead. Yeah.
If we do achieve what Dr. Figueroa says, like that we understand our tiny position in the whole of the thing, instead of putting ourselves on the pinnacle, we as humans, I believe once we get to that place, when we know that the little bug that we normally want to squash because we think it's ugly, that it's our brother.
But we're going to fight. But we're going to fight for that little bug, and that is why we're going to be fighting against mining.
Right.
We're going to be fighting against the extraction of the soil. We're going to be fighting against the building of this massive highway. You're doing away with the bees and these little bugs.
Exactly.
This is where it comes. This is where we're fighting for our lives.
But in order to be able to fight for our lives, we need to know who we are in the great scheme of things. And right now, we think we're the top dog, and we're not.
Well, but let us not speak for, because in that way, let us not say that we think. Let us say that there is a thinking.
The powers that be.
Because there are many of us who understand ourselves in the wider scheme of things and know that if we do not fight for the bug, then all of us die. Unless we're at the place where we understand death, that death is not death but life.
That's a whole different program.
And then is the fight worth it?
Yes.
But I think the fight is worth it.
It is. And what it will do is it's the powers that rule this. It's the 1% we always keep talking about.
Yes.
They are telling us the bug needs to be squished. The rest of us want the bug to live. So there's more of us.
That is why we're going to march with placards until them left the bug them alone.
Leave the bug.
And sometimes we're going to do like Amil Cabral says, that we can't keep shouting at imperialism and colonialism and all of that. Sometimes we have to do a little bit more than that. And obviously I can't say what Amil Cabral said if we do, because this is a commercial radio station. But Marcus Garvey also told us what to do, especially with politicians who betray the people. He says that we must take, it is in the blueprint, the philosophies and opinions, they must be taken to the town square, tarred and feathered.
That's right.
Right. So that's why we can't teach Garvey in school. Because Marcus Garvey Mwalimu holds politicians, his philosophy is to hold politicians responsible and accountable.
But in the world that you and I envisage, we can teach Marcus Garvey in school.
Yes.
Because the whole politician thing will have changed because of that new thinking.
Yeah. And we can teach it. We can teach Marcus Garvey in school right now, which is the point you're making, which is to say, how do you create your own spaces, your own schools, your own individual and collective as community spaces, which is something similar to what we saw back in the day the Nation of Islam did, and other communities of better, is it Better Israel? Those brethren who went to Dimona in Israel. And I'm not saying whether people are right or wrong, I'm just saying that the methodology, I think the template they're using is not so wrong, which is to do for self and to create for self.
In smaller communities.
And then, the extent to which we are successful, I think, will determine the response of a so-called state.
Right.
Because power comes from that space. Because power is still what power is.
But don't we say that we, the people, are the power?
That's it.
All right. We need to believe what we say ourselves.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. Now more than ever, Peter, you didn't answer the question. But I know you've been thinking about it. Grab a microphone. So a microphone right there, borrowed from all this, because we're not hearing you. Or if you want, you could use the booth, because you're not going to get away from this morning. 8 minutes to 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, the brigade comes in with the Sunday sunshine. Is it the brigade that's in this morning? Because I know brigade's off for a few days. But yeah, so now more than ever, Peter.
Now more than ever, I think we need to focus on education. Education is key for the youth. The youth, focus on the youth. And by focusing on the youth, we're focusing on education.
All right, so that from Peter. Now more than ever, education. I love this campaign that Jet is spearheading, along with our sister, Dr. Esther Figueroa. Now more than ever. And I think as you go through today, ask yourself that question. Now more than ever. Did you say now more than ever?
I didn't.
Yeah, I get away with that. It's 7 minutes to 10. We've got a few minutes.
Now more than ever, we need to know better where our power lies. That's what I keep saying. We are all programmed into thinking that we are useless and powerless. We are not.
And that's, I think, is the active word, programmed into thinking this.
Yeah.
We're not.
We need to deprogram ourselves.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
And what about you? You never said.
Oh, I said my aunt.
Oh, of course you did. Yes.
I was the first one out of the gate.
All right.
We didn't get for Esther. Oh, yeah, Esther did say, right?
She did, yes.
All right, so Marcia Palmer says, listening this morning, we have a school situation. Why can't people understand that once couples are together, that these behaviors will happen? People of wisdom privatize their life, and that is why they do not refer to using... Okay. All right, thank you. The shelter has couples, they are wise ones, and so government needs... Big Asia, government needs to understand. All right, and I'm seeing you, Andrew Lumsden, quite a bit there. He says, what a stellar show for my daughter and her granddaughter to tune into super sisterhood style. Yeah, do love that. Quite a bit here. I'm not quite sure if you were seeing anything. Oh, Denise Isis Miller says, now more than ever, we need equal rights and justice, plus officials learning how to speak truth to power. Now more than ever, what do you need, Biggie? Biggie money. Now more than ever. Talk for you? I know I'm going. Okay, me beginning the same thing. Matt. Justice, harmony, truth, balance.
All of that.
Talk for you, don't it? Me talk for you, Biggie. I said I spoke on your behalf. There you go. Okay. Leticia says, now more than ever, we're gonna revolute.
She's revoluting outside right
She's
now.
She's already revoluting. Okay, so I did Donnie already. I know you're all over the place, and I'm reading from the different spaces where you are. And I know you said check my Facebook, but Jawari is on my Facebook page posting a lot of things. Jawari, you can't block it up like that, because people won't go there to say now more than ever. So I'm trying to clear some of that, but it's not.
I know
happening.
Kevin Nierere had some questions there. Maybe you can find them.
Why am I? Wonder which one? There's so many.
That's right. That's because you did so many posts.
Yeah.
I'm going to find it for you. Hold on.
Hi, Kevin. Good morning. So I'm seeing this. Okay. Bongo Man. I think Bongo Man is in Malawi. He says, Grand Rising Cabo and the whole community here. Thank you, my brother. And to everyone who's listening in Malawi. All right. Okay. So, all right. There is one here that has, Yannick Pessoa says, fight the fight for Africa and Africans first for our right to self-determination. He talks about black sovereignty. He says, I hope this movement you have going explodes across radios and the internet, and the grassroots is resurgent. And James Jones says, "Hold up, my darlings." Yes, my brother, how are you doing? Okay.
Kevin's question was, what is Zorro Ranch? Kevin Nyerere. The question he's asking us both, what is Zorro Ranch?
How you spell that?
Zorro, like in, Zorro.
And the Zorro Ranch?
Zorro.
Oh, is he talking about Epstein's ranch?
I don't know.
It sounds like he might be talking. But I think Kevin knows exactly what he's doing. And Kevin, why not tell you what it is?
Right, Kevin. You're asking a question and you know the answer. And
it sounds like I think it sounds like Epstein's ranch.
Could be. Yeah.
All right. So Dave Hall says, "Good morning, teacher." Irie daughter says, "Hotep African family. Another interesting program. Thanks to you, our lecturer Cabo. Nice to hear all this Hunker in studio." And Irie, remember, Irie daughter, you are next. We said, okay. She says, "Now more than ever, we need justice, better educational spaces, increase in salary, and more public beaches to unwind."
Well, she knows what she's talking about.
And yeah, Jawari says, "Grand Rising, my beloved." Okay, self-destruction. All right, yet another opportunity to rid our minds of the noxious, toxic poisons of ignorance, self-destruction, and self-hate. And Mesfin Hiley has been posting Liberation Day 2026, civil disobedience at the JDF, Charles and William, what did you know? April 2026, which day? 13th of April. That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
20 at 11 a.m., South Camp Road. He says, "No British imposter." That's a protest. In England, they're having a lot of these protests. They're calling them No King. Well, in England, in America, it's No King's Day, and in England, it is Not My King. So people are protesting against the monarchy, against Charles, across the UK. But you're not seeing a lot of reporting on it. It's called Not My King. What do we have there? I can't read it. Read the killing the insects. Read it for me, Peter. Read the killing the insects conversation. We think we are rulers of the, does it say earth? Finish it for me.
Yes.
While we are merely its descendants. Oh, that's you, Peter? Then Peter can never say just, you see, Peter don't use a big A. This is crazy. Peter typed it, sent it to us, and he's right there and we have to read it. Okay, so you're saying that we are
the descendants of this earth.
Okay.
And not the rulers.
This is how we say goodbye. Thank you so much, Aldous Hunker.
It's been wonderful.
Thank you so much, Peter Broadbent. Thank you so much, Antoinette. Thank you so much to Vivine Stewart and to Khadija the Dex. Peter, thank you. I mean, brilliant work. To all my very special guests this morning who came in studio, Esther and Aticia, and on the phone lines, JTA President Mark Malava. And thank you for listening and for participating. And we'll see you next week. We're working on it. We're going to be perfect soon. You see how many things we do this morning? We was able to do that. We did able to do this and we were able to do that. The phone calls and all of that. So by next week, it will be great. Making way now for the Biggie Money. It's on the turntable. I see over there. Get on it.